company in Dubai, which may have access to a car that I could borrow on a social media influence contract, perhaps.
Yeah.
But I don't own anything. And that's because if you own things, they come for you. Elon Musk tweeted it the other day. Someone tweeted Elon saying, what is the countdown until they raid Elon Musk's home for releasing the truth about what the FBI is doing with the election interference? And his response was, I don't have a home. You get to a certain level of wealth where you're like, you know what? It's easier just to not have things. I don't have anything. I can rent anything I want. If I want to stay in London for the next 10 years, I can walk into the Dorchester and take the presidential suite at £20,000 a day for the next 20 years. So who cares? I don't need a house. It's like you just get beyond that point with money. So there's kind of like this middle ground. When you're broke, you own nothing, and then you start doing well and you own a bunch of stuff, and then you get to the top and you're just trying to get rid of it all. Don't want to own anything anymore.
Well, E-Man said when we interviewed him, he said he didn't want to be a billionaire. He said as soon as you get to that sort of level, they'll start controlling you and manipulating you. So do you have a similar thought pattern on that?
It's very hard to not become a billionaire in the world today, I think, if you're truly influential. I'm already a billionaire if I had to have my net worth measured.
That would have been one of my questions.
You can answer, no, I'm a billionaire. Yeah, so net worth.
What are you bringing into that? Are you bringing in your whole brand as a part of that value?
Well, yeah, net worth is subjective, right? So Forbes contacted me to put me on the billionaire list, and they wanted to know everything I owned, and I told them I don't own anything, and they like, okay, well, they want to know my income, and I said, look, I'll declare to you, I'll show you maybe 20 million a month or something, and they said, okay, but the value, obviously, then you value the companies those things come from, right? You can take some of my companies people know about, like The Real World, which was previously Hustlers University. If I have a business that is making $20 million profit a month, and it is an online educational platform, the largest one in the world, and it's a subscription model, and you put an 8 times multiplier on the profit, which most tech companies could achieve, that's an $800 million business.
But could you sell
one business.
Could you sell that business without you attached to it, though?
Well, that's the point. That's a good question. That's a very good question. And that's where, and I never would sell it anyway, but I know what you're saying. But then it comes into other things like branding and the brand. I'm the most Googled man on the planet. They can't ban me from algorithms. They failed. I'm the most TikToked person on the planet, the most viewed person on Instagram. Like, what's the value of that? You could give me, who makes these glasses? IKEA? This might be IKEA.
I'm not sure.
IKEA could come to me with this glass and say, sell a bunch of these. And I could sell $1 billion of these glasses. It'd take me a week. So like when I get offers, trust me, I get a lot of them. I'm not a fucking scammer like Logan Paul. I'm not a clown. But when crypto companies come to me and say, will you pump our coin? They start by offering me $50 to $65 million. They say, look, we'll give you $65 million if you'll mention this coin on a podcast. 65 million to say a name. And I don't do it because I refuse to allow my fans to get ripped off like Logan Paul does to his fans. He's a fucking scumbag.
So what is your view on that whole crypto zoo situation? Because CoffeeZilla is doing an investigation at the moment and it is quite gripping, isn't it?
The dude's a clown. He's a person who doesn't care about his fans. He just wants to make as much money as possible off the back of people who watch him. It's different with me. I genuinely want every single Tate fan, anybody who listens to what I say, to have an improved life. I want their life to be better for listening to me, whether it's in their relationship or whether it's in their physical stature or their financial capability. The idea of a 16-year-old spending their last money on a coin because I said so, and them losing money would bother me at night.
And they will lose it.
And they will lose. Of course they'll lose. Crypto is, this is what most people don't even understand about the crypto market. It's player versus player. You can only sell it for $10 after buying it for $1 because someone's buying it at $10. Someone is out to lose. So you can't launch a coin and nobody loses. This is why I haven't launched a crypto. I can make $10 billion today if I launched a crypto, but I refuse to do it because people are going to lose under my name.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense why people go into these groups and let's all hold together, but they're actually just going to fuck each other over eventually.
It's all clown world.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where you have to realize, do I need more money or do I want to genuinely be a force for good in the world? And I don't need money. It's the last thing I need. So I'm not going to sell my soul. Logan's obviously a brokey. So he sold his soul like a punk. And now God, then he insulted God, which was great. I
didn't see that.
He robbed all his fans and then he sat there and insulted God and now God's teaching him a lesson. And maybe he's take his atheistic ass and go look in the fucking mirror and understand that there's powers in his universe he doesn't understand. And he can stop being an arrogant piece of shit and he can apologize to his fans. He could take the last money in his little brokey bank account and refund it like a man would. That's what I'd do if they were insulting me. I'd go and say, look, here's my bank balance. I have this much money. I'm giving it to charity. Guy's a fucking punk. He just wants to continue to talk on podcasts and pretend his fans are going to care about him forever. Nobody respects that man any longer from the day he attacked me. Anybody who attacks me gets fucking wrecked. True Jordy lost every sponsor, got wrecked. Logan got wrecked. I'm divinely protected. These clowns need to just not say my name. So yeah, because they're people without morals. And if you have no morality on a long enough time scale, God will teach you a lesson. They're fucking morally bankrupt individuals. They're just sitting there, anything they can to grab some money from the world, fucking their fans over.
So what is the situation with True Jordy?
Yeah, how's your best mate, True Jordy?
Yeah.
I don't know. He lost all his fans for insulting me. He tried to say something about my conversion to Islam. He insulted me and lost all of his.
I think he lost his fans before
Do you know what?
that as well. Yeah.
Do you know what? You don't bring religion into things, do you? Because that is your faith. My faith is my faith.
Yeah.
That's a personal thing.
Completely.
It's just past free speech, isn't it? It's just a weird thing to do. It's not about free speech. It's
exactly.
Just weird.
And he was so angry at me because I pointed out some truths about him multiple times. Me and him have a long history of internet beef. He made a video about me 5 or 6 years ago. And
Were you on True News or something like that?
And he made a video about me 5 or 6 years ago, and I countered his video saying that his video was distasteful. Then a bunch of screenshots came out about him with loving his some deviant sexual acts. I highlighted that to the public, which obviously upset him. So he doesn't like me very much. And I've said to him, look, we can settle this in the cage if you want to fight about it. Look, we can go and sell a bunch of tickets and I'll beat the living shit out of you. But he's of course scared. So instead he just does these little snidey videos, and because he's upset deep in his heart, he can't control himself, and he mentions me and he said things he shouldn't have said.
What a big pay-per-view that would be. You versus True Geordie.
I think people would be very disappointed in the 6-second show, but I'm like, I paid for this.
Would you keep it going a little bit longer or just end it straight away?
No, I would destroy it.
Not even for the fans. You wouldn't just keep it going.
I would destroy it. Yeah. But so that's the story.
What about if his mate was there helping him?
Oh, what, his little girlfriend? Fucking hell.
You can have both of them against you.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? It's really crazy as well, because all these podcasters and like Logan and Jordy, all this shit, I don't watch any of this shit. So they say things and it gets cut into clips, and I have a huge media team, and obviously there's a lot of people who work for me, and they go through it all and they put it together and they say, look, this is perhaps worth commenting on, or he said this, that. But I get a daily report on my social media presences and performances. And there's a daily report of how many times I'm viewed and et cetera, et cetera. And there's all the people who come for me at the bottom and mentions them. But I think a lot of it, truthfully, comes from jealousy. These people have been podcasting for a very long time, and they've been famous for a very long time. And I've just come along and smoked them. I've just come along and just destroyed them. And they're sitting there like, shit, he's the top G. I'm a fucking nobody. Yeah. I thought he was canceled. Why is he still getting more views than me? He's supposed to be gone. So they hate me, and it is what it is.
Yeah, they just can't understand it. So was being cancelled part of your 3-part plan?
I knew the cancellation was coming.
Yeah.
I was prepared for a cancellation. I'll be honest, because I'm human and I don't lie. I didn't expect it to come as hard as it did. I thought they might delete my account.
Yeah.
I didn't expect them to freeze 15 million pounds of banks. I didn't expect them to put a travel ban on me. I didn't expect like this kind of craziness. But you learn a lot. And I always knew that the world and the laws and the legal systems we live under are clown shows, and it's all a circus. And I always knew they're subjective bullshit. But when you're actually at the end of it and you're seeing how subjectively stupid laws are, it's ridiculous for them to sit there and say, Andrew said women can't park cars, so that's hate speech, so that's a crime, so that's bail, so that's a travel ban. Name a fucking dude who hasn't said women can't park. Like this is literally insanity. But the laws are all subjective. So when you're at the end of it, it's kind of interesting. I was prepared for it for a very long time. There's very old videos of me talking about how you can't live on one grid. You can't live off grid either. So the only way you can protect yourself is to live on as many grids as possible. So for a very long time, I was prepared by having multiple passports and banks all around the world and all that kind of thing. So they failed to damage me like they wanted to, but it was an interesting few months, that's for sure. Yeah.
It was only recently I realised how in sort of contact the banks are with the law, and really, you look at it, they are just one, aren't they?
Completely, and none of the money's yours. I feel uncomfortable with a lot of money in my bank. So that's another thing. Like I'm now at the point where I don't really carry money at all. I don't have any way of paying for things, because anytime I'm anywhere, I'm with like my PA or my security team, whatever. So it's almost weird how quickly you get used to like walking in somewhere, eating, and just walking out. I don't pay, and someone else sits and pays for me.
Sorts it.
So it's weird. I don't pay for anything. I don't have any money. I don't have any of that stuff anymore because
that sounds like true freedom, though. You don't have to worry about the money at all.
I don't look at the price of anything. I don't look at the price of anything. If a new car launches and I want it, I just say, give me this and
sort it.
Yeah, literally, give me one. What options? All of them. Just tick every box, buy. And cars turn up at the house that I've forgotten I've bought. And
when did you reach that level of wealth? Was it within the last couple of years, or were you at that stage beforehand?
I was always fairly well off, but in the last, I'd say 3 years, I got to a point where money is truly not real. Money has no value whatsoever for me anymore. So if I want something, I'll just buy it. And I spend ridiculous amounts of money on stupid things. I know if
So what are some stupid purchases?
No, but I compare it to my old life, right? Because I'm from a council estate in Luton. So me and Tristan will sit around and talk about how insane it is that will go to a hotel and will prefer the shower head in the suite as opposed to the normal hotel room. So instead of spending £3,500 a night in the normal hotel room, we'll spend £11,000 a night for the suite because of a shower head. And we're sitting there thinking $8,000 a night because of the shower head. Like, it's so unfathomable when you used to make like £1,500 a month and you lived in a council estate, and it's crazy, but money just has no value. And you just get to the point where you do whatever you want. And you also over prepare, you overspend. If I fly somewhere, let's say I fly to Marbella, I might want to go for a drive. So I'll get 3 supercars, put on a truck, moved from Bucharest, driven all the way across Europe, 4,000 kilometers, all the way to Marbella, taken out, put in front of the hotel, arranged. I'll go to Marbella on the jet. I'll sit there for 2 days. I don't feel like driving. The cars don't move. They get picked up again, put back on a truck, flown up. It's just, I have a security team, like everything. It's just, you just do it because money has no value. I might want it. So
who handles the logistics for that? Because that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, life becomes, like I said, there's a lot of organization involved in the life, and you end up with a lot of staff and a lot of people around you who are good at these kind of things, and they become invaluable as part of the team. But yeah, there's people who organize it for me.
So if someone wanted to get to that level, what would you say their net worth would have to be to not worry about money and just buy whatever they want whenever they want?
Net worth is subjective, like we just discussed. I think it's more about how much and I don't even think it's how much money you have in the bank, because you can tear through any amount of money. It's how much money you're earning.
Okay.
I think a good life costs about $1 million a month.
Wow. That's a big figure.
$1 million a month is a good life. $500,000 a month is doable, and you can still live good. But if you want to really truly live like the best human experience, it costs about $1 million a month.
And is that earned income or income with your assets increasing?
That's income that you have coming into the bank that you can spend.
Okay, that you're taxed on as well. So it's slightly less than that, but
depending where you pay tax.
When I started my business, I was told by my mentor, what you've got to have a good life is 100,000 a month. That was 36 years ago.
Well, it's pretty similar now, maybe inflation and stuff, but I can give you, it depends on the way you're living, right? Because I told this story before on another podcast, but Dan Bilzerian messaged me and he said, look, let's hang out. I was like, all right, cool. And I was in Bucharest. He was in France. So by the time, I only wanted to go see him for a day. So by the time I got the jet, I wanted my security team to come. So I had to get the 4 security team, and they came and obviously had to pay their wage. And I put the cars on the truck to make sure they were waiting for me there in case we would decide to go for a spin. And then I landed with the security team, and everyone needs hotels. It's 8 people in a 5-star hotel. And then you're on the ground. You have to rent these V classes, armored ones, look after you. And you go, you see Dan, you talk to him for an hour, you have dinner, and then everyone gets back on the jet. By the time I saw Dan in a 48-hour whirlwind, by the time we moved the cars, which I didn't drive, and security came, etc., you spent $400,000. You spend $400,000 to go see your friend. Like
so would you class him as your friend?
Yeah. And that's how easily you can spend money. Like I could have gone Wizz Air. I could have gone by myself.
Could you have gone Wizz Air?
Well, no, but technically you could, and get a taxi or get the bus but you just don't, because money has no value. And this kind of
Andrew Tate flies Wizz Air. How many seats would that sell?
I should contact him, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Should let me fly for free.
Yeah.
But I even said to myself I'd never fly private because of how ridiculously expensive it is. But COVID convinced me I had to do it, because they kept telling me to put masks on. I couldn't listen to the fucking wagey. I said to
you just get a water and just drink it throughout the flight. That's
what I was doing as well. I was sitting there with Pringles.
Yeah.
But I said to her, I was like, my dear, listen to me. Why do you care? It's the rules. It's the rules. Listen, there's no police. There's no camera. Why? Please use your brain. Engage your brain. I know you're some 21-year-old Polish woman who's never fucking thought of anything in her life, but please think. Why do you care? You know this is stupid. Nobody else wants me to wear one. Why do you give a shit? But it's the rules. It's the rules. It's like they're fucking slaves. It's like their brains are programmed. You can't get through the programming. I'm like, please, my dear, think. I will give you $500,000 if I don't put my mask on. Would you let me? But it's the rules. It's the rules. Like,
really?
It's just, they're fucking. I'll never give it to her, but I said it as like a thought. Like, you say it as a thought experiment, but they're just their brains.
If money's no object,
but their brains are controlled. Their brains are completely controlled to the point where you can't get through to them with any form of logic. It was amazing. That was the worst period of my life. This fucking imaginary pandemic garbage. I'm a peaceful person. I've never literally walked around Earth so angry. I walked into gas stations. Mask? No. You have to wear a mask? No. Do
you think it's a power thing as well? There's no like a situation where someone would have power over you except for that, when they can enforce it.
Completely. And maybe I'm too egotistical to have people tell me what to do. Perhaps I'm at that level in my life, but it was just fucking dumb shit. And I'm walking into and the number of times I walk in a gas station, put a mask on. No. I won't serve you. Okay, is the gas free? Because I filled up. So you're gonna take my money or I'm gonna have free gas? No, you have to pay. Well, then fucking serve me, dummy. Yeah. Put a mask on. No, it's just some stupid thing. In the end, they take my money. It was a big waste of everybody's time. And I'd say to them, bro, you're earning 700 pounds a month working for a corporation that wouldn't give a fuck about you if you got stage 5 cancer. Why do you care? If I worked in BP and someone walked into my gas station and decided to start a fire in the corner and barbecue some sausages, I wouldn't give a I'd be like, please stop, bro. Whatever. Like, why do these people, they're so fervently passionate about the rules of the BP station?
But do we need people?
You're a fucking slave in your mind.
Do we need slaves though? Because
yes,
obviously we need people to work and do those jobs that obviously the free people can't do.
And this is the full circle realization when you get to the point where, as frustrating as it was, you need this slave class of people who buy bullshit so that I don't have to do bullshit stuff, which is great. But usually the bullshit people can't tell me what to do. It's only during COVID they were allowed, and now that's all over. They can't tell me what to do anymore, so it's fine. But if you're, and not everybody's mind can be free because in society it would break down. But of course, some people's minds are designed for freedom and some people's aren't. But it's amazing when you're talking to the slave mind, trying to get through to them. And it played out even in my cancellation. There are people who would sit and get furiously angry about the subject of me, saying I'm a bad person. And when you ask them one bad thing I've said, they don't know. How could you be angry about something and you don't even know why? It's all clown world. It's absolute clown world. It's slave mind, and the slave mind is actually a dangerous thing. When I'm combating it, people think I'm combating it just for fun. No, the most heinous crimes in the history of humanity have been conducted by people who blindly obey governments. Blindly. If you're going to sit there and be a dummy and blindly comply and be told to hate a certain race or hate a certain person or do a certain thing without thinking, that's how World War II happens. All these people who sit and say, I'm a good person and you're bad because I have my mask and I have my boosters and you're bad. No, I think, you don't. You're the bad people. History is full of people like you who don't fucking think, who do as they're told. And you're the ones who end up fucking murdering people, not people like me. Everyone likes to believe they would have resisted the Nazis. They're the ones who would have not done it. But then they're fucking told to mask up and bend over for the fucking dildo and they take it. It's garbage. Clown world.
I think one of the greatest things during COVID was having my own business. And I think the same with you as well.
Same for me.
Because you could say you're going anywhere.
It gave me freedom
work.
for anything. I got pulled over a few times when I was driving a van for work because they said, oh, the car for work. And they said, well, you can't be working, you're in your car. I said, well, I can. I own the business. But with the van, I didn't get stopped once. I could go anywhere I wanted.
Yeah,
it was
thankful
fantastic.
for lockdown. I'm thankful for lockdown.
But what I can't understand and I couldn't believe was how many people bought into that lockdown. If you'd have said to me before it, we're going to lock the country down, no one's going to go out for 3 months, this is going to happen, I said, there's no way. They're not going to accept that. Are you joking me? And I think a few years before they wouldn't have done either, but they seem to have softened everyone.
And that's their goal, right? Their goal is to soften everybody's brains and to delete one side of the argument. This is why I talk about the Matrix. People say, why do you talk about the Matrix all the time? And I say there are people who are living right now in a computer-generated reality. If you believe everything you're watching on the news, you are believing a complete false version of reality. And the idea of that reality is to keep your brain occupied enough so that you'll continue to do a shit job for shit wages and pay your taxes until you die. That's exactly that's the plot of the Matrix movie. They're abusing your body and controlling your mind so that your body will sit there and do what they need it to do until you're no longer useful anymore. And that's exactly what's happening. And another question I get is people ask me why I'm so interested in this fight against the Matrix. And I try and explain to people that I believe this fight cannot be avoided. I think you're either combating the Matrix and fighting against the garbage they're telling you, or you're believing it. And if you believe it, then you end up fighting against yourself. You end up fighting against your own mind. You can't avoid the battle. If you're a full-grown man and you believe everything that's on the news, you're going to end up fucking semi-depressed, divorced, miserable, broke. Like your life's shit anyway. There's no way to escape this fight. You're either buying their crap and fighting against your mind, or you're fighting against their crap. There's no other way to do it.
Building on that, do you believe in clinical depression? Let's have that conversation.
Sure, let's have it. Yeah, no, I do not believe in clinical depression. And you're never going to, I'd love for you to try and convince me it's real. It'd be quite interesting.
Do you think it's an invention of the US pharmaceutical industry to sell you pills?
Well, I think that's certainly part of it. I think that's part of it. But I've had this conversation with a bunch of people, and my basic premise is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still gonna feel terrible and I'm gonna wanna die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. That's not a reality I'm ever going to want.
But that's
for
a
myself.
reactive depression, isn't it? You can be reactive depressed for the day, for example, or
Feeling
for a while.
Or even chronically, you know?
Feeling depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain. You're sad no matter what, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world, and that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it.
So how about chemical imbalances in the brain?
Bullshit. That's all been disproved anyway.
Really?
It's all been disproved. Firstly, that's all been disproved. And secondly, even if that was true, even if I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, I do not believe in depression. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So, and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity. These people who are so desperate to push this idea. Then you add in the pharmaceutical element and the fact that everyone's taking these fucking drugs, messing with their brain chemistry. It's garbage. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human.
So you felt depressed at times, would you say?
We're all human.
Yeah, because I felt depressed. I mean, I had some major, it might not sound big, but some major dental surgery done. Yeah. And it really got me down for a while. But my businesses and running those, to be honest, picked me up because it was like, I can't be like this. Get in there, do some business.
Well, completely. And also, let's look at it. Let's pretend I'm completely wrong, right? We can look at situational depression like you just described. We can talk about brain imbalance and chemical imbalance. We can talk about clinical depression that you get and it's chronic and there's nothing you can do about it, whatever. Let's pretend all these things are completely true. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position, you're still trying to win. You still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will state as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. I was driving here. Even as I was driving here, I was looking out the window and I was looking at all these people just walking around. One of them had a fucking croissant. One of them was dressed like a dickhead because it's London. He thinks he fucking looks cool. Looks like a fucking moron.
We've all seen them.
Yeah, moron. Some of the dude just talking shit on the phone. Some other guy with headphones in waiting to be fucking murdered. Wouldn't even hear it coming. And all these NPCs, I'm just looking at them going, do they realize they're in endless constant competition? Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair it is.
And how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, you do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm going to get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life.
If you gave that guy that stuff, he probably wouldn't be depressed anymore.
Well, he's get up off his ass and work then, doesn't he? And this is the point.
He probably would because he wouldn't have a direction in life. I think it's a very empowering message that you share. And, you know, I think if you can fix it with pills, you can probably fix it by going to the gym and doing all of these other aspects.
But pills doesn't even fix it. Pills just numbs it.
Mask.
Yeah. It masks it.
Well, it's not a holistic way to treat it, is it? Whereas what you're saying is more so.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you're playing a game and it's a competitive game and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct.
Dad used to say when I came second, he was like, second is the first loser.
It's true. And it's just the bottom line of life. And it's kind of interesting because everyone pretends they give a fuck, but nobody does. Especially women. And I know I get attacked for women, but women truly don't give a fuck. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know what I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and like, we just walk in the hotel and everyone, staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. Like they want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It is against my creed. It's not in my DNA.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole message of Strike It Big and what we try and put across to the younger generation.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. And this is the thing about society and MSM and all this garbage and the Matrix. They try and convince you, don't worry if you're being a loser because people feel sorry for you and you'll get attention for it and you'll be okay in the end. And it's all this temporary fixes of dopamine by saying, I'm sad. Don't worry, bro. You'll be okay. But it's bullshit. They don't care long term. The world doesn't care. Nobody really cares. Chicks don't care. Business doesn't care. You are going to fail.
It even happens in schools now, doesn't it? Everyone gets a prize.
No, it's garbage.
Of course it's garbage.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You've got to have winners. You've got to have losers. You have to lose to know how to win.
It's true. And the natural state of man is a competitive state of man. Men have always been competing with each other. Even now, right now, we compete with each other. I don't buy Ferraris to drive fast. I do sometimes, but if I'm in London traffic, it's not to go quick. No. It's to show everyone else I'm richer than them. That's what it is. It's a never-ending competition. I don't wear a big diamond Patek with fucking $500,000 to tell the time. I tell the time on my phone. I do it because I'm loaded. And this is actually what's interesting about the world because the world's changed. Men used to go to war and fight each other in physical combat, and now we don't because we're more civilized in some regards. That's violence is still the bottom line of society, but we try and avoid it. Men are constantly doing combat by showing each other how we can move world with money. We're constantly in combat because of our status. 99% of what men do is for status. We want to be in good shape for status. We want the fast car for status. We want the nice house for status. We want the diamond watch. We want the hot girl. This is all for our status. Look at me. I'm the big dog. This is how we compete with each other. If you're going to be a dude who pretends that's not true or be a dude who doesn't want to compete, your life's going to fucking suck. That's the reality.
Do you feel like sport drilled this mentality into you? Because I used to be a competitive swimmer. I was always competing, trying to be the best. And my dad used to compete with radio controlled models.
Yep.
How about you?
Well, that's it. What is sport? Sport is just watered down versions of war.
Yeah.
This is what men have always done.
Friendly war.
Completely. We've evolved to be in battle with each other to some regard. And they
wonder why fans get so emotional as well, because they're also at war with the other fans, aren't they?
Completely.
And that's going to kick off at some point.
Exactly. And you look at the entire planet throughout history, there are ideas which are universal. These are not ideas that could have possibly spread or shared because of the distances involved. It was a universal idea for the Mongols and the Chinese to fight each other, and the Aztecs and whoever else to fight each other, and the tribes in Africa to fight each other. The Europeans, the French, and the English were fighting each other. Humans have always done this. It's just like, no, I'm the boss. No, I'm the boss. Okay, then let's find out who's the boss. And now we live in a world where I think that status is the new form of combat, and the true expression of testosterone is showing you can move the world with money. This is why I do a lot of the things I do. When I show up to a hotel and every single member of staff panics and they're all standing there waiting only for me and no one else is allowed to walk in and all my cars are out front and Mr. Tate, that's war. That's winning. That's what it is. That's the game. And I don't have time to even accept the idea of a reality where I can't create that for myself.
So with all this traveling around the world, because you are traveling a lot, where do you actually call home these days?
Dubai/Romania.
Okay.
But Dubai massively impresses me as a city, and the United Arab Emirates massively impresses me as a country. Because people think, oh, Dubai has oil. No, firstly, Dubai doesn't have oil. It had oil, and it's all gone. Abu Dhabi still has some oil, but Dubai doesn't have oil. The reason Dubai is so successful is because it's been deliberately designed to be. It was the vision of the leader.
The modern city.
Yeah, there's literally a man who's in charge of Dubai today, who's such a genius and so forward thinking, he sat there 30 years ago and goes, we're going to do this. And he's created this city now where you have 200 different nationalities. Everybody calls it home away from home. No crime, no tax, the tallest building in the world, the best healthcare, best education systems. It's gorgeous. I can walk around without security, and it's like a utopia in a world that is all around it crumbling. And he designed it and thought of this and did it purposefully. And I find that absolutely flabbergasting. I think that's amazing that he's done it. And that he can now, he walks around his city. You see him in the mall. He walks around the mall. You will never catch any of our politicians walking amongst the people they're supposed to serve because they are hated. He is respected and loved by everybody. And for that, I just like being there. I just feel like
people are scared of the legal system as well, aren't they? Which helps with the safeness a lot.
But that's
what we don't have here at all.
What's the point of a legal system? Is to be feared, isn't it?
But no one fears it here.
No one fears it here, right? So they've done everything right. And when I'm there, I just love seeing how correctly they built their society. It's beautiful.
Our apartment's actually cheap out there to rent because we had an editor that used to work for us, and he was seeing all these TikToks about how you could go out to Dubai and rent a house out there or an apartment. Are they actually that, or is that just a lie?
Yeah, so it depends what part and depends what area, like everything. But I will say that Dubai is massively on its way up. All the world's money is moving to Dubai, or at least setting up a second life in Dubai in the event of something going wrong in their host country where they can instantly bounce. And when I say all the world's money, I mean everyone. All the Russians are going there. Chinese are starting to go there. Everyone I know in Europe with money has got a second home in Dubai. Everyone's setting up because it's designed in a way where you can go, you can spend a few weeks there, you can get your residency, you can become a resident. It's so easy to buy property. There's 0% taxes. They've got banking, which is all legit. Some of the best banking in the world. They've got shopping. They've got everything. Yeah. So I know that whatever the price of a house is now, in 5 years, you're going to be very glad you bought it. I mean, there's been properties I bought a year ago. I've already made 60%.
Which you don't own.
Oh, sorry. There's people I know who have bought houses a year ago and they've made 60 to 70% in a year.
So if your companies are based in the UK,
I don't have any companies.
Okay, well, just for a random person, like for us, for example, sure. Our companies are based here and we move to Dubai. How long do we have to live there for it to be tax free?
Yeah, I think a tax residency is like 180 days a year or something like this. But if it's a legal entity, I know that they're bringing in a corporation tax, but that's only if you're doing business inside of Dubai. But let's say you had an online company which is based out of Dubai and you're making money online and the money is banked in Dubai. You don't owe the UK a fucking thing. You don't owe a penny. So why
when are we moving, Dad?
Yeah, you don't owe them a penny. And that's what's so amazing to me, that you go around a city with perfectly clean streets and perfect law and the tallest building in the world and all these bright lights and all this beauty with 0% taxes. It makes you wonder what they're doing with all our money. Well, makes you think, well, surely they wouldn't just be sponsoring random proxy wars and dumb shit like that. Of course not. They must be doing something very smart with all the money they take off of us.
Well, I used to have no problem paying any tax that was due to me. I used to think, well, that's what I do. I go to work, I run a business, I pay my employees' taxes and my national insurance, and I'm happy to do that because it's a furtherment of my country that I love. Yeah. I'm shifting.
Yeah, well,
I am shifting.
And that's the problem. As patriotism breaks down, then the whole idea of paying tax just gets destroyed with it. And when a country is not prudent with its finances, like Western nations aren't, it pisses you off. You sit there and look at the dumb shit they're spending money on, and then they're coming along trying to take it all off us, and they're doing dumb shit with it. Like, I got asked last night on Piers about this nurse strike, and I said, I think the nurses would be happy to work at the wage they're currently being paid if they believe the nation was spending its money prudently. But because they see the nation spending millions and millions to bomb random patches of desert or to sponsor a proxy war or whatever dumb shit they're doing, of course you're going to sit there and go, wait, well, if you've got billions for that crap, I need an extra £5 an hour. And this is what happens. And I think Western society is failing. I think it's breaking down in real time. I think by any metric you can measure a society, whether it's birth rate, happiness of people, criminality, anything you can measure, we're just losing. And on a long enough time scale, I think places like England and the United States are going to become unlivable. I think they're going to become unlivable states.
What a shame that is, because it doesn't have to happen. It
doesn't have to happen. And I'm the patriotic Brit in me, it pisses me off. Because I come back to England and I remember England 20 years ago where you could go on a night out and it was fun and it was safe. And I still love England, part of me does, but it's just fallen, it's failed. And all of our leaders refuse to do anything about it. They just want to sit around and fucking take for themselves for their few years they're in power. And we have a cancer, we have a problem here in these countries, which is being completely ignored, and it's going to continue to spread. And I think that genuinely within 30 years, England's going to be unlivable. I think anybody with any semblance of money will be in Dubai where they can walk around in safety. No one's staying here to get repeatedly robbed. Like no one with money is going to stay here to get repeated. Even me, it costs me so much money to be in London. By the time I have my 5-man security team and hotels for everybody and stay somebody secure and an armored car and that, it costs me like 30 or 40,000 pounds a day to visit this city.
Nuts.
And there's nothing here. I can't even go for a drink in a club because there's going to be someone outside with a fucking blade. It's clown world.
Especially with your watch on.
It's clown world. It's clown world. You can't live in this city anymore unless you just want to be some mid-tier brokey. I don't want to be that guy. In Romania, everyone knows where my house is in Romania. Everybody knows it's in the middle of the city. My Bugatti's on my fucking driveway. No one would dare touch me in Romania. No one would dare. Here, you can't even have a nice car on your drive. Not even a Bugatti, a Range Rover. I had a friend the other day. They tried to rob him in his house because his Range Rover's on the drive. It's not even it's a $100,000 car. It's insanity that people, to me, I find it absolutely mind-bending that people don't just leave. I'm like, what are you staying? I get it. You miss it. Visit. Come on holiday and fuck off because it's shit. There's nothing here.
What would you say you stay for then?
Patriotism.
And that's it.
And family, I guess.
Well, yeah, of course, family. But, overall, it's patriotism because, I grew up wanting to... I was so patriotic. I wanted to represent my country at the sport I did, which I achieved and got medals for it. And I loved every bit of that. And it's hard over all those years to just throw that away.
And I know that, and I respect that because I feel it.
And we've had obviously that common thing of the Queen being in power all my life, or not in power. The Queen being around. It's a common thread.
It's a figurehead,
yeah, and that's gone.
And that was big when the Queen died.
Huge.
When the Queen died, I said to Tristan, that is the last good thing about England now gone. That was the last unifying force. She was so universally respected, and now the royal family with all their fucking current garbage, they're losing credibility in real time, and it's a shame. It's a massive shame, and I agree with you. I'm a patriot too. I love the idea of England. I wish England could be a hospitable place to live. I even like the weather. When I landed here, I said to Tristan, it was raining and cold. I was like, I like this.
Really? You get that feeling home feeling.
Completely get cozy feeling that you don't quite get in the desert. But it's just too many metrics in which it fails. And you just think, you know what? I have to make the smartest decision. I have to be as competitive as possible with my mindset and with my lifestyle. And even me as an individual, I know I'm competitive with money, and I know that I'll be more competitive the less money I give away. So you just end up going, okay, I'll move. But Romania is a beautiful place as well. Like Romania has been very good to me. And
I've been to Romania. I visited Pitești. Is it Pitești?
Yeah.
We had a competition out there. I think it was a European Championship.
When was this?
Oh, a few years back, 20 years ago.
Oh, it must have been different then.
Yeah, it's changed. It probably changed a bit now, I should think. But very, communist feel back then.
Yeah, it
with
is.
One big power station to supply all the hot water to the house, to the flats.
Yeah. And it still has that communist feel to a degree.
Yeah.
I try and describe Romania feels like 1910 with Wi-Fi. That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah.
If you go out into the mountains, it feels like old, but it is beautiful. But isn't it amazing? Again, once again, one of the poorest countries in Europe. I drive a $5 million car, I wear $1 million watch, I walk around on the street.
But you'll be respected there
completely.
Whereas people hate on you here, they'll damage it for no reason, just for the sake of doing it.
Completely different mentality.
That's an English mentality, isn't it? Like they want to. What is it? The crab effect. Pull you down. If crabs in a bucket, pull you down when one tries to escape.
And that's it. The culture's different, so it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
You mentioned declining birth rates. Are you concerned about population collapse?
Well, I think the Western nations are collapsed anyway. So population is going to be certainly a buzzword across the next 150, 100 years. But Africa is taking over now. Africa is having huge population booms, and China owns Africa, and China's going to be the new superpower. So it's a changing of the guard, and it's actually interesting because I had this conversation with Tristan. As much as I complain about the Matrix and complain about how the media machines are controlled and they're lying to us, and the Western world is all a lie and the law is subjective. If the main power in the world changes from America to China, it might even be worse. So it's kind of interesting. Like either way we're going, it's going to be a difficult future for people.
Yeah, every top sort of factory owner that I know in China, they all originally wanted to come here when I started doing business with them 25 years or so ago, and they're all now looking at Dubai. They've forgotten England.
100%. Everyone is going to Dubai.
This was a safe haven for them. That's what they thought, and now it's Dubai.
Everyone with money is going to Dubai for the same reasons. It's globally. There's no city that can compete. I was at a meeting. I won't name drop. I was with a couple billionaires, And I was sitting with them and I said, if you didn't live in Dubai, where's the next most hospitable city in the world? And they said, number 2 is Tokyo because it's safe.
Very safe.
Very safe. People are quite friendly.
Very respectful.
Very respectful. There's a lot to do, but they're still saying it's a second, but it's nowhere near Dubai. And I said, why? And they said, because it's more traditional, inward thinking, hard to do business, hard to penetrate the culture, hard to penetrate the language barrier. Like in Dubai, you can come up with a brand new idea, a brand new product or something that's never been seen before. You'll find people who are interested in it and you'll get investors and everyone speaks English. And it's very forward thinking. It's a very forward thinking place. But they said, yeah, Tokyo's number 2, but it's half as good as Dubai. Dubai is winning. It's winning. And because they're running their city and they're running their country like a business. And here we are, and you have one person in charge running it like a business. Think about how much more competitive that is than having a parliament full of clowns, and jackals, arguing with each other about garbage and nobody fixing anything. Stupid. You walk down the street in Dubai, if the king walks down the street and there's a hole in the floor, he says, fix that hole. Next day it's fixed. Here we need a parliamentary review and 6 months and a government contract and half the money goes missing and then they somehow might fix it next year. Stupid. It's over. The Western world is done. It's finished. What's
your view on this new line project that they're building, the new infrastructure? Do you think people will be moving to those cities?
I'm interested to go see it. I've heard really good things about Saudi as well. I'm interested in taking a visit and going there. But I think the world is cyclical and empires come and they decline and they rise and they fall. The Roman Empire was once the seat of the civilized world and nobody could imagine a world without it. I think the West is in a similar position and eventually it's going to collapse. And I think the time is coming for the Middle East and China and Africa. So the Middle East is certainly a good place to invest in general. And Qatar owns most of London anyway. So this is another thing that a lot of people don't consider. I find it interesting during the World Cup when Sadiq Khan, who was a loser, by the way, Sadiq Khan, the loser, when he was saying that he would not allow Qatar to advertise on the TFL anymore because of their stance on LGBT. And I was sitting there thinking, bro, Qatar owned the Shard, Qatar owned Harrods, Qatar owned London. If you're going to stop taking Qatari money, then we're really in trouble. You need to shut up and know your place, bro. That guy's a fucking clown.
I've often thought that the UK actually should have fallen probably around 1976, around that sort of time. It was pretty broke and we found oil and obviously we've had all this other investment and I think we've been on a crutch for a while, unfortunately.
And that's the thing. And the problem with crutches is they get ripped out from underneath you. I remember 5 or 6 years ago, if I went to London on a hot summer's day, if I went to Knightsbridge in the summer, there would be Lamborghini, Ferrari, Qatari, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, supercars all over the place making all this noise because all the Arabs used to come here and spend money and spend the summers in London. Not anymore. I don't see any of it. And I even asked I have private security detail or I stay in the best hotels. I'm like, do the high-level Arabs still come here? They're like, no, it's too dangerous. You can't wear a fucking watch. Why would they come here? Same with Paris, fallen. No one wants to come here anymore. No one wants to spend money here anymore. The Russians were spending money here. We snatched it all off them. Talking earlier about what do you really own. If you're Russian, I don't agree with who's even the prime minister now. What's his name? Rishi Sunak something. I don't even know. I don't know what he says. So if he says something, I'm sure I don't agree with it because I don't even know what he's fucking saying. To then persecute me for being English because of what he did or said and take my stuff off me is asinine and insane. But they did it to the Russians. So they took all their stuff off of him because of what their leader said, regardless of whether you agree with what he's doing or not. So they don't want to invest here anymore. They've all gone to Dubai. Like it's crazy. It's almost like we're committing suicide in real time. It's the Western nations of Europe are genuinely committing suicide. It's crazy to watch, but nobody wants to seem to do anything about it. They're too busy, too concerned with trying to cancel me for
what does need to be done though.
Well, what needs to be done is they need to at least become sovereign nations again. I don't want to get assassinated and I would never kill myself, but these globalist ideas and these globalist regimes, they destroy the idea of sovereign nationality. So if they have an idea that they want to purport and push, you have to subscribe to it. There are currently Western European nations which are committing energy suicide to support a war that has nothing to do with them because they've been commanded to from above. They're not a sovereign nation. Any sovereign nation would sit and go, well, our constituents matter more than this over there. But they don't do that. They sacrifice their own constituents and their own ideas and their own thing that's good for their own country to agree to some religious ideology above them that they're getting fucking force-fed.
That's the trouble. And then that's how wars start, isn't it? You get dragged in by other countries and then before you know it, it's a world war.
Yeah, well, don't we need energy? Like, has everyone forgotten we need energy? But I was like, no, we don't need energy. We need to do this dumb shit. I don't even want to say the countries involved. Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Of course.
But it's clown world. And none of these countries are even sovereign anymore. So it's insanity. And that's one thing I also respect and love about the Middle East. You know who the boss is. Who's in charge of England? I'll ask you guys, do you really believe Rushi, whoever, is actually the boss of this place?
No. It's the puppet master.
Of course, he can't do shit. Who's the boss? Nobody even fucking knows who the boss is. You wonder why it's fucked? No one knows who's in charge.
Whoever's bossing the USA, whoever's bossing them, I don't mean the president, they're bossing us.
Absolutely. And this is the exact point. You don't even know who's in charge anymore.
No.
And if you kick off and you get really upset, they just take the fucking person who's supposed to be in charge, flip them out to shut you up, and they continue to do whatever they want. It's all clown.
So have we passed the tipping point? Is there a return or is there no return?
Well, God has a plan. The universe has a plan. The world is cyclical. You can't be in charge forever. I think the Western world is time is numbered, and I think it's up, and it's time for someone else to be in charge. And we'll see if they do a better job of it. We're going to see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. Certainly interesting.
We've talked about supercars and watches to flex. Obviously, the biggest flex, I've heard you say this before, is having a woman on your arm. Do you think the majority of average Joes should strive to have multiple women?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot, and I think it's kind of misunderstood. I want to try and clarify this because I ask it a lot. People think I'm advocating for a man to go and have a bunch of women. That's not exactly what I'm doing. What I am saying is that female nature, not even masculine nature, female nature is if they find a man of high enough status that they're happy for him to have multiple women. That's the point. It's an observation on evolutionary biology. It's not me sitting trying to tell men what to do.
Do you think they could have the same kind of connection if that man isn't loyal to them and only them?
Well, I'm not a female. I'm just commenting on the fact that if Chris Brown walks into a club, every girl screams and wants Chris Brown, and none of them expect him to be loyal because of his status as a man. So,
but then would they be loyal to him though?
I think they would. If you look at a history book, every king, every sultan, every emperor, every sheikh, every ruler, they all had multiple wives, mistresses, and they were all loyal to him.
Because they're top of the pile.
Because they're top of the pile.
But were they worried that they were going to get killed back in the olden days when it's like the king and stuff, and if they did something against him?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but if you look at the world today, I'm telling you right now, if you're a very famous actor, for example, and you decided you want to have 3 girlfriends, it would be very easy for you to have 3 girlfriends. Now, those girlfriends would get a lifestyle off of you, of course. They would benefit from sharing you. They would take away a lot of their jealousy, and it'd be replaced by gratitude because of the lifestyle they're being afforded. But that's because you're top dog. So I'm not sitting out here telling every man, go get a bunch of multiple women. I'm saying that women themselves have shown us that if you're a high enough status male, your idea of being sexually exclusive to them isn't all that interesting overall. It was different previously, perhaps, or I understand some people are happily married and some people don't like the idea of the things I'm saying. That's fine. I'm just making a commentary and I'm speaking from personal experience. If I were to go out and meet a new girl and she were to sit with me and talk to me, and someone were to say at the end of it, do you think he's going to be loyal to you? She'd go, well, probably not. Do you want to see him again? Yes. That's the reality of the game. That's the way it's always been.
Do you think it changes when they're looking to settle down versus to have a fun lifestyle?
And then again, it's interesting because there's another interesting observation in terms of when women decide to settle down, right? Because women don't often want to settle down at the peak of their sexual options and value. Women are seen as most valuable, let's say at 23 or 24 or whatever. When they're most valuable and they're most beautiful and they have the most options and the most Instagram DMs and the most invites, they don't want to settle down. They want to go to Dubai. They want to go to Hong Kong. They want to go to Miami. They want to run around. They want to have all this fun. They want to party. And then they get to 30 and there's a new generation of girls getting all the options. And now they start saying, well, you know what? I want a serious man. Well, of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do. The Instagram's dry. Of course you want a fucking serious man.
Obviously, we're generalizing here. There are people that do.
Of course, and I am generalizing, but you have to make a generalized point. So when I say these things, I'm not trying to say to every man, go get a bunch of women, da-da-da. But I also use that as an answer when a man says to me, because some men say, look, I like the idea of having, let's say, a bunch of women or whatever. So then you better become important. That's the only way you're going to do it. Become important. You're not going to do it if you're a brokey. I mean, you could, but it'd be a different scenario for the women to actually accept it and be semi-happy with it. And when I say these things, of course, I'm called misogynist and attacked by Shanty, fucking whatever her name is.
I can't remember.
I mean, neither. I just remember Shanty.
The Guardian.
The Guardian. In most of the world, this is the reality. Go to Africa and find the rich dude in town. He has wives. Go to the Middle East and find a rich dude. He has wives. Go to Russia and find a billionaire. He has his wife and he has his mistresses. Like, this is just the way the world is. I don't know why everyone's afraid to just say it. In the Western world, we have this fake veil of absolute moral superiority and we're better than everyone else and da-da-da. But if you actually hung around enough billionaires like I have, and you've been around enough rich, important people in private scenarios, you will soon see that everyone does the same thing. Just in the West, they fucking lie. And everywhere else, they can be honest about it. It's always been the way. It's only over here we're like, no, never, no. It's a clown world.
I don't know. I think there's something special about monogamy and being with one person versus then seeing other people and breaking that bond.
I understand that. And that's the great thing about life, because we're all individuals and we all get to make our own choices. And we can do whatever we want to do. And if I or you or anyone wants to be monogamous, we're allowed to be, and we can be. That's fantastic. My observation is that a woman expects monogamy or expects sexual exclusivity of a certain class of man, and you can get to a critical point, a higher echelon where it doesn't cross her mind. That's my observation. Yep. Now, it doesn't mean you have to cheat. Doesn't mean you're obligated to run around with a bunch of wives. But
see, I've never seen you actually talk about cheating. Like, you're always very upfront with the girls you're seeing.
I don't call it cheating. Yeah. And it's not even about being upfront. I don't sit and say to you, hey, nice to meet you. By the way, I'm going to have this many girls. That's not how it is. I just think that when a woman truly respects you and she knows the kind of caliber of man you are and she knows how desired you are, she'll just turn a blind eye to a lot of things because she just gets it. She's like, okay, that's Top G. He's been away for a month. Whatever. Can't wait to see you. Miss you. It's not about being brutal and sitting there saying, hey, guess what I did? Like, it's not like...
I think they kind of know what they're signing up for, though. And that's the important
thing. When
you
buy a Nissan, you know you're getting something reliable. When you buy a Ferrari, you know you're getting something sexy that comes with problems. Everybody understands what they're signing up for. And that's the reality. And females understand extremely well what if they're chasing, and it's their decision, because a female doesn't have to go get a famous dude. She can go get some other dude. If that's her number one concern is sexual exclusivity, she can get a normal dude. But if she's gonna go out there and go, no, I want this guy who is this, she's gonna have to sacrifice something. You have to sacrifice reliability with your Ferrari. That's the game.
Once you get to that kind of higher echelon of men, that level, how do you tell whether a girl is a gold digger or just wants a nice lifestyle?
It's a good question, but I don't see why men are scared of gold diggers, because they can't get gold unless you give it to them. You must be a total bitch to like accidentally get gold dug. Buy me this. No, fuck off. Well, you must be a dummy. Yeah. And then also...
Well, a lot of guys aren't strong enough to say no, are they? Because maybe that girl is a little out of their league, shall we say?
Yeah.
So that's why it's not a no.
And it's a gray area, right? Because also, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman expecting a nice lifestyle. I think it's all relative, right? If you're a normal person, or even in a normal couple, a woman still wants her man to provide and protect and work and pay for the house and the family. Women expect you to provide and protect. It's evolutionary. That's how we're designed to be. So I don't think a woman expecting a lifestyle from a man is a bad thing. If I was a woman, I would expect a lifestyle, that's for sure. And depending on your man's lifestyle, depends on the kind of lifestyle you expect. And then it gets into a blurred line of people say, well, she's just with you for money. I'm like, well, if she's just with me because I take care of her problems and I make her feel happy and I make all her stress and anxiety go away and she gets to have fun with me, you're saying that with me for money. I'm saying she genuinely likes me because
that's what I provide.
Because I provide. So all those things end up with her having genuine emotion for you. So unless it's like a straight transaction, like a day rate, unless it's like a straight transaction, what happens is if you take care of a woman, people say she's gold digging, but if you take care of her, she'll genuinely love you because you're genuinely the person who gives her nice things and takes care of her and makes her smile, makes her problems go away. And then you look at it in the inverse. If she's with me only because of my competence and my money and my capability to bend the world and my power, and you're calling that gold digging, I call that genuine attraction. You look at it the other way around, and I'm with her because she's happy and makes me smile and she's gorgeous. Am I just with her for her looks, or am I genuinely attracted to her? So attraction's a blurred line. It's hard to draw where pure gold digging is. Gold digging is, hi, buy me this. I don't even like you. I'm not sleeping with you. Get me this. But then if you still do it, you're a dumbass.
So that's the red flag you would look for to determine the difference between the two?
But women aren't stupid. Women are actually, listen up, Shanti. Women are smart. Women have instinct. Women are very instinctual creatures. I believe in women's instinct. In fact, I believe to the point, like 3 of my PAs are female. And I've had them say, I got a bad feeling. Don't race the cars around today. Stay home. I'll stay home. I'll listen to them. So I truly believe in female instinct. Women understand things very well. And there's not a woman alive who's stupid enough to see a man like me and meet a man like me and go, I can get money out of him, and I don't like him. Like, you have to give that vibe off to get gold dug. Like, I'm not a dummy.
I saw one of your comments or questions from Piers Morgan about saying to your wife or girlfriend, I don't want you to go out tonight. Yeah. And I was actually quite irate at peers, really, because I did come down on your side of it. Because if you're the guy to protect your wife, stroke girlfriend, and you've given her the advice, just don't go out. You're going to get raped or whatever.
If I told my girlfriend not to do something, she wouldn't do it.
Well, this is the thing. We're living in this world now where they're going to try and pretend that authority and responsibility are not linked. If I have authority over something, or I have responsibility for something, then I need to have authority for it. If I have responsibility for, let me try and choose something that won't upset the fucking shit.
I think it's the authority, isn't it? When you say
that
authority,
word, it upsets them.
It does.
But it's upsets them because it's semantics and they're slave-minded. But let's take something very simple. Let's take a car, right? If I'm responsible for that car, means if I park it somewhere and it's not supposed to be parked, I am punished because I am responsible for that vehicle.
Yeah.
Then I must have the authority over that vehicle to be able to move it, to be able to sell it, keep it. I must have authority over it. You can't come along to me and say, you're responsible for this, but you can't move it and you can't influence it. You cannot have responsibility of something you do not have authority for. The captain of a ship, the reason he's responsible for the ship and he has to go down with the ship is because he has authority on the ship. Everything that happens on the ship is because of him. If he gives orders and everyone ignores him, then he has no authority, which means he's not responsible for the outcome, which means he doesn't go down with the boat. So trying to de-link responsibility and authority is ridiculous. If I am responsible for a woman's safety, that I must have authority to make decisions regarding her safety because I'm responsible for it.
I think the issue comes when you relate it to a car and it's like, that's an object. And then
what
they
else?
see the woman being an object.
But what else can I relate it to?
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. But I think that's where they're getting the whole like, oh, I own that person and it's a sovereign individual.
Yeah,
but it's her choice to listen, isn't it?
That authority is given. So
it's a given. The slave mind has a mental breakdown because of the analogy I used, but they completely missed the point. But yeah, the authority is given. If she were to sit and say to me, I don't want to listen to you, you have no authority over me, I'd say that's fine. Then I have no responsibility for your safety. Enjoy your nice long walk in the middle of the night. If something bad happens to you, don't call me because there's nothing to do with me. But if she were to say, no, Andrew, you're keeping me safe, I'll say, okay, then you're not going out. So it's a decision for her to make. It's not a matter of coming along and being a slave master. It's just understanding in the universe, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a car, whether it's anything, there's authority and responsibility and they go hand in hand, and trying to decouple them, which is what they're trying to do in the modern world, and to say that you're responsible for everything, but you have no authority over anything. That's clown world. And that's what they're trying to slap on men now, especially in relationships and everything. You're responsible for everything, but you have no authority over any of it. Well, then how can I be responsible for something I can't influence? It's clown world. And this is part of the psyop. They try and do this with absolutely everything. It's crazy.
Well, a lot of people look up to you, obviously. But what is an achievable amount the normal guy in the street should be looking to achieve, do you think? On a salary basis?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I truthfully believe that the universe is a very giving place. And I don't want to sound, airy-fairy, but I truthfully believe that the universe is a giving place, and that if you actually really want something, you can have it. How much you want is how much you're prepared to sacrifice. So if you want $500,000 a year, you can definitely make that. And that level of stress you'll absorb for that money and the amount of headache you'll go through, if that's the amount you're prepared to accept for a happy life, you'll have it.
Do you think anyone can do that though?
I think that you have to pre-decide, right? So even my level of wealth comes with enormous stress. Governments are after me. Like most people are not mentally prepared for the bullshit I go through. So the number one factor that's going to decide how successful you are as a person is your ability to absorb stress, your stress level. The better you are at dealing with stress, the more problems you can fix, the more money you're going to make. So you have to decide where on that scale, because you could just be homeless and have no stress. You could just,
exactly.
You could be a brokey and be on the dole and just, I'm broke, but nothing really troubles me. So you have to decide on that level where you want, how much stress you can possibly absorb as a man. And then if you truly want that level, you're going to get it. I believe any man can make anything they want, depending. Any one of you here, I'd have no idea how much money you're making, but if you were to say, you know what, I'm throwing away my relationship, I'm throwing away my social life, and I'm going ham, I'm going nuts, and I don't care what they do to me, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna make it. You'd make a bunch of money, but there's a bunch of garbage that comes with it. So you have to decide, right? So I think it's a conscious decision. Anybody can be as rich as they want to be. That's the true thing about it.
And you don't think there's a level of intellect that's needed there?
So then we talk about the three things that hold people back. I believe there's only 3 reasons people are not rich. One of 3 reasons. They're either stupid, arrogant, or lazy. Stupid is actually the smallest category. People think, there's a lot of stupid people. There are, but I know a lot of stupid people with a lot of money, right? There's so much money in the world. To be too stupid to generate money, I think is less than 5% of the population who are genuinely too dumb to ever make a good wage. Then you have arrogant and lazy, and these are the 2 most common. Lazy because people just, but I need time to myself. But it's the evening. Or, it's hyper competitive. There are people who do not need times to themselves. There's an Indian in Islam, or there's a guy in Islamabad who'll do your job online for $3 an hour and he doesn't sleep. You're going to lose, right? So if you're going to be lazy in any regard, you have to understand there are people like me who are billionaires who work 18 hours a day. When I finish this, I get into my car and I open my laptop and I work on my way to my next appointment. And then I'm going to work all night until the day I go. When I go to sleep, I close my laptop and I'm asleep a minute later. I work. That's all I do.
So when you're on your yacht, do you class that as work? Because I think a lot of people think work has to be in an office, sitting down on a computer.
Well, for me, it is, because we have a film crew and we're filming and it's all being documented, and I'm doing my normal job at the same time.
And then this is work as well.
Absolutely. So this is just my job. So lazy is a big problem because people go, oh, but I just want to relax. If you just want to relax, that's fine. But you're competing against people who just don't want to relax, and you're going to lose. And the last, and I'd say that's around, a lot of people have that element to them. A lot of people are lazy. That's about 50% of people. But the main reason people are not rich is because they are arrogant. 50% of people are brutally arrogant. And I'll give you an example. I have a school where I teach people how to make money online. It's called The Real World. It was called Hustlers University. It's now called The Real World. TheRealWorld.ai. You can see it at CobraTake.com. I sit here as a billionaire and I sit and say, I will teach you how to make money online. Anybody, 18 modern wealth creation methods. It's $49 a month and I will teach you. And people will sit there in their brutal arrogance and as a brokey with no money and go, yeah, but can he really teach me? I have everything you've ever fucking dreamed of. And I have all the money. You have nothing. And you're so arrogant that you believe you know more than me, or that you can do it without me, or that I don't know how to teach you. The arrogance of people is truly mind-bending. If you know so much, why are you broke? You obviously don't know. If I wanted to learn how to box, I wouldn't walk into a boxing gym, find a guy who can box and go, yeah, you know, not bad, but can he really punch? Like, this is how people think when it comes to money. You guys are all successful enough. You can sit there and say, look, I do X, Y, Z. I have X, Y, Z. You don't have it. So do you want to learn how to play piano from the piano teacher, or do you want to sit there as an arrogant brokey? Most people are brutally arrogant, and you can sit there and you can try and help them, and they're just so arrogant. They think, oh, I can do it myself, or I'll work it out myself. I don't need help. And it's arrogance, and it keeps them at the bottom. Everything great that's happened to me in my life, someone taught me. I had a kickboxing coach. My dad was my chess coach. You get taught things. To sit there and think you're too good to learn, well, this is the problem. Most people are broke. Most people are broke because they're arrogant, bro. It's the truth. It's nothing to do with how stupid they are. They're just arrogant people.
How did you seek out those mentors? You talked about your dad teaching you chess and everything. So how did you find the other people in your life? Because not everyone has a father figure.
Yeah, that's true. And I found my kickboxing coach to a degree by accident. But I've always been a person who's been looking for absolute competence in the people around me. It's just mind-bending to me that people are walking through this world without understanding a very simple life hack. If I wake up and I want to learn how to bake cupcakes, my instant reaction is, who can bake cupcakes? Let me go talk to the person who can bake cupcakes.
It's easy, really, isn't it? It's easy.
It can be pretty simple.
It's a shortcut, isn't it?
It's a shortcut. So I want to make money. Well, who makes a bunch of money and who's telling people how to make money? Well, let me go listen to them. Let me get closer to them. But people just have this arrogance inside them. They don't want to. And I think a lot of the problem with people, especially in the world today, is they misunderstand the difference between a dream and a plan. And nothing good in your life is ever going to happen by accident. If you see a guy in fantastic shape, you don't say, how'd you get in great shape? And he goes,
it just happened.
Oops, I just fell. No, he ate a specific way. He trained a specific time. He did specific things for a specific outcome. And it's the same with finances. And most people who are broke, if you say, do you want to be rich? Yeah, I want to be rich. How are you going to get rich? One day,
I'll win the lottery.
Yeah, dumb shit. You have no plan. You have no plan whatsoever. No actionable steps. No, you're not doing things daily. You're just hoping some point in the future, God's going to just dump it on your doorstep. Guess what? It ain't going to fucking happen. And unless you have a plan, a specific plan, I'm sure you guys had you had a plan and you worked hard to get to your points. I had a plan. Everything was like, okay, today we have to do day after day after day until you get there. And this is what most people don't have because they're too arrogant or too lazy. I don't think it's stupid. I think most people, if you laid out a plan and they tried their very best and they were willing to learn, could do it. I don't think people are too stupid to make money. They're just too lazy or too arrogant to make money. That's the problem with people.
I sometimes think how much work I put into my life. I mean, literally every day, as you said, nearly every minute is to make your life happen the way you want it to happen. Yeah. And I look at others and I think, how do you actually survive out there? You're putting no effort into your life.
It's true.
How do you actually survive?
It's true. And it's incredible because if you don't, I wake up every day and I think, how do I make my life better? nobody else wakes up each day and goes, how do I make Andrew Tate's life better? So if you're not the person who's waking up every day going, how do I improve my existence? Then nobody is. Nobody on the planet is considering improving your one spin on Earth.
No one else cares.
Nobody else cares. So if you don't care, then you're fucked. So you need to wake up and care. And it's amazing to me, like you're saying, how did I find my mentors? I just tried a bunch of them. Like when I had no money, I would try very hard I'd listen to lots of different people, or I'd try different things. And I wasn't scared to invest in myself, because I understand that, look, if he's taking time out of his life, then I need to reward him for it financially. And I tried very hard, and I listened, and I paid attention, and I was never lazy. I don't believe there's a person on the planet who pays attention, tries their best, is never lazy, is on time, works hard, has a mentor, and is giving it his all, who isn't rich. I don't believe it. I think that if you do all those things, you're rich. And if you don't have any money, you're missing one of those key elements. Now, you can fool yourself and you can fool everyone else and you can pretend you're doing them, but if you're truly honest with yourself, am I finding people who are trying to teach me what I want to know, and am I trying my best? And the answer is fucking no every time.
Do you think there ever come a time or an age where you feel you have to slow down?
That's a good question as well.
Thank you very much.
No, it is. No, but it is, because it's actually been recently people have said.
Maybe I've got to that age where I've got to slow down a little bit.
We're speeding up.
Yeah. Well, I've had family members say to me, Andrew, why now? Why are you doing it? But it becomes a lifestyle. Like
I would say you're young enough to keep this pace up at the moment.
For sure. And I will. And there's going to be a point when I'm definitely going to slow down. But it's almost second nature to me. It's not a conscious thing. If I'm awake, I don't see why I wouldn't be doing something constructive. I'm a conscious now. I've woken up. I'm either in the gym or I'm working. What else am I going to do besides turn my brain off in front of Netflix? It's just all clown world to me. If I'm awake, it's work or training. And that's how I've always lived. And that's just how I'm going to live as long as I can. If I get to a point where I feel need to slow down, then I'll slow down.
So you talked about dreams and plans and how they're different. How does someone, I feel like there's a mental barrier in between actually taking action and finding the mentors and stuff. How do you break that barrier? Is that through watching like your content online?
Well, it's interesting about watching content, because watching content can be a double-edged sword. You can learn a bunch of things, and everyone at home here, I like to feel like they're getting value and they're learning things. But there's also the other edge of people who feel like if they just watch a bunch of shit and do nothing, that they're taking action. They feel better about themselves, but they're not actually taking action. Yep. You know, so you have to balance the two carefully. Ultimately, it's going to be action that shapes your world. Ultimately, you're going to have to do something. So if you're watching something, you should be very conscious of what it is. I mean, I've created my reality. Absolutely. I've cut out all bullshit in my life. Like, I don't have TikTok installed on my phone. I'm banned. So I don't have anything. I don't have anything installed on my phone. I don't absorb any bullshit, fucking random entertainment. I don't watch any podcasts of anyone else. Like nothing. I don't need to.
Obviously, you watch the Strike It Big podcast.
Of course. Sorry, I watch Strike It Big podcast. But I get a daily report at the end of each day and spend 4 minutes analyzing. I get what I need in 4 minutes to read the piece of paper. Boom, done. So I've tried to be very, very efficient with it. But yeah, you have to be careful if you just watch too much content. Like you guys have a website, right? And you teach things. I have a website, I teach things, whatever. If you watch this podcast and you've genuinely learned things from it, then you should be on one of the two websites by the time the conversation ends. If you're going to watch the podcast and go, yeah, they're all pretty smart. Anyway, then you've wasted your time.
I get it in the comments where people have got what you've said. They've got it. And they reply to you, I've got it. My reply is, well, action it.
Yep.
Because nothing's going to happen. It's no good you just getting it. Yep. You've got to action it. You've got to look long term at it and keep going.
Completely. It's action that shapes the world. So if you're going to watch something, it needs to either tell you what to do or inspire you to take action. If you're not going to take action, you're going to fail. That's the reality of it.
Do you read books? Because Kai has, I always read books. I love books, but Kai doesn't like reading at all.
I think I would say that YouTube changed my life.
Yeah.
Watching content.
Yeah, I
took action, obviously.
I feel like you only get the surface level through YouTube, though.
So I got roasted on Twitter for this. So they attempted to roast me, but they can't because I'm me. But I said that I don't read books and I'm very anti-reading, and it upset a whole bunch of people. My problem with reading is not that there's not good information there.
It's too slow.
It feels slow.
I'm with him.
It feels slow. I just feel like I don't have
read a bit faster.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't have the hours. I'm now at the point where I will hand the book to my PA and say, give me a 2-minute surmise, you read it. Like for me, that's just where I am. But also, life teaches you a lot. And I think a lot of people are not very self-reflective of their own lives. I don't think you can read a book and that's great. But I think if you're living an interesting life, if you were to take half an hour a day to actually sit and go, okay, what good has happened to me today and what bad has happened to me today? Why have those things happened and how can I prevent them from happening again? Most people don't, that kind of crap doesn't even cross their minds. Like every day I will sit at the end of the day and go, what bad has happened to me today? How did that happen? Did I get caught slipping was I on the street and some guys come up to me and it could have been a dangerous situation? Like how could I genuinely have improved my reality? And you can self-reflect and teach yourself everything. But
that's total ownership of your life, isn't it?
But you have to have.
But a lot of people don't.
You have to have ownership of everything good that's ever happened to you and everything bad that's ever happened to you. I have complete ownership for the fact I was canceled. I don't sit there and go, oh, they're lying about me. Yes, they're lying, but I still own it completely. They're lying about me and they're talking shit, but I own it and I took responsibility for it. And I sat there and I took absolute accountability and I thought, okay, how can I turn this in my favor? And I beat them. If I'm walking down the street and it starts to rain, I take responsibility for that. I didn't have to be in rainy London. I could have been somewhere else. I could have brought an umbrella. Could have took a car. I am responsible for getting wet in the rain. And there's people out here who just don't take any responsibility for their own actions, let alone the weather. If you take complete self-accountability and you self-reflect, you can learn a whole bunch about life.
But could you not just say that it's raining, this is unfortunate?
No, but that's what losers do. It's raining. I'm unlucky.
You got told.
But that's what they'll say. I got wet because it rained, not my fault. Whereas I'll say I got wet because I did not prepare for the rain.
Didn't check the app.
I didn't
get an umbrella.
Correct.
Didn't wear the right clothing.
Correct.
You knew where you were. You were in England. It was going to rain.
Correct. And I will punish myself for that. And I'll make sure it doesn't happen to me again. I will sit and actually consciously think about it. There's been times I've lost my car keys or something ridiculous and wasted 20 minutes of my life. And I'm furious. And I will make sure that never happens again. I'm conscious with systems about stupid shit, so I don't make mistakes ever.
Do you know what? I get exactly the same thing. I beat myself up about things exactly as you're saying, and people tell me you shouldn't be beating yourself up about it. It's just one of those things, but I do, and because I beat myself up about it, it don't happen again.
That's it. If you don't sit and pay conscious attention to it and give it conscious effort, you're not going to learn.
I think there's a difference between beating yourself up and then looking at it and thinking, how could I have done that differently?
No,
that's why I say that to you.
I beat myself up because I think, why have I put myself in this situation when I shouldn't have done?
Yeah.
And because I look at it and dissect the situation that I'm in, then I can learn from it.
Completely.
I bet you get caught in the rain again, though.
I bet you I won't.
But even if you do, right, there's still a sense of satisfaction knowing you were forward thinking enough to try your absolute best. Like I have people who are after me, right? If they catch me and I end up getting murdered, for example, heaven forbid, I feel happy. I had a 7-man security team and an armored car and I did my best.
Took the precautions.
Yeah, but if I'm just walking around like a dummy and then they get me, then it's a different scenario, right? So it is what it is. You have to self-reflect. And I think that, reading's great, but if you take some time to look, I get this all the time. People say, oh, my girl left me. Why? I don't know. She just left. What do you mean you don't fucking know?
Think about it.
Why did she leave you? Oh, because she wanted If you think long enough, you'll realize it's because of you. You were not important enough to make her not want to leave. You can sit and say what she did and what she wanted, blah, blah. It's because you couldn't keep her. Because I could have kept her, so you couldn't. So it's your fault. And you're not self-reflecting. And then you're going to go into your next relationship. And because you didn't self-reflect and you haven't grown, you haven't done anything, guess what's going to happen? She's going to leave you again. So
someone else that isn't taking full responsibility for his actions is Sam Bankman-Fried, with the whole FTX situation. What are your thoughts on that and crypto? That was a good segue, wasn't it?
Brilliant.
That was smooth.
Smooth.
Smooth, eh?
What, has he been arrested? Hasn't he been arrested
He's
now?
been arrested, on multiple counts.
Well, I was thinking he only donated $40 million to the Democrats and it looked like he was above the law. I was like, for $40 million to have absolute diplomatic impunity, I'll send my $40 million check right now.
Yeah.
So
I think he donated to both parties, didn't he?
It was Democrat.
But he did one dark, so they didn't know about it, apparently.
Perhaps. But I genuinely spoke to my lawyer and said, get in touch with some lobbying companies. I'll give them $100 million if I get that level of But it looks like it didn't work, so I'll take that check back. So he's in trouble now. It's bad for the whole industry as a whole. But I never liked him. I got weird vibes from that guy anyway. He was always a bit strange. He played too many video games. He was always on video games on his interviews. And people thought it made him cool. I was like, you're running $1 billion company and you have time for video games? I knew something was up.
And driving the cheap car and all that
Toyota,
stuff.
Wasn't it?
It's all a bit weird, wasn't it?
It's all bollocks. It's all a lie. So there's something about him and it just triggered me. I wasn't sure on him in the first place, but I do think crypto is the future. There's pros and cons to that because they're talking about CBDCs and that kind of thing. But Sam took a lot of people's money and I think he deserves to go to jail and we'll see what happens.
We made a video recently about how FTX going to zero, a big player going to zero could signal the bottom of the market, and the fact that, you know, regulation has to come in now. So would you rather invest before the regulation or afterwards? That's maybe the question we should be asking ourselves.
Yeah, I think with a lot of investments, it also depends on the kind of time scale you're working on and if you need the money. So like if I were to buy Bitcoin at, what is it now, 16,500?
Yeah,
about that.
If I were to buy Bitcoin now and I need that money in exactly a year, then the price matters. But if I buy Bitcoin now and I'm never going to need the money, then I just sell when it goes up. It might take 10 years, it might take 20 years. Who cares, right? So a lot of investments is about how badly you need the money. It's the same with a lot of things. So I don't really time the bottom of markets so much now. What I do is I put in money I'll never need. So I'll just say, I'll buy Bitcoin at whatever and just go, well, I refuse to lose. And so I'll just wait it out. Like I'll wait 4 years, 8 years, 15 years. Oh, look, I win. Boom.
And let's be clear, you're not going to leave it on the exchange, are you?
No, I'm not going to leave it on exchange. No.
Get it in your nano ledger.
That's right. That's right. You leave it on exchange, it's like leaving money in the bank, and I don't trust either of those things anymore. So, but yeah, I think with investments, but also in the whole idea of investing, I have people come to me and they say, look, I want to invest I think you need to be quite rich to invest in a significant way anyway. If you're living a normal life with a very normal wage, investing your £500 is not going to change your life.
So what is the very best way to make money then in 2023?
That's a good question, because that's what you should be trying to do. You should be trying to make money, because if you're
maximizing.
Yeah, because if you're a normal person with a normal wage and a normal income and you're focusing on investments, you're making a big mistake, because there's no way you can invest £500 that's going to grow into. Maybe you could pull off a lottery win shitcoin pump or something, but in general, with anything normal outside of this clown world garbage, which has vanished because the real world's back. Because the last 2 years have been clown world. Now the real world's back and it's hard to make money again. There's nothing you can put £500 in without doing any work, and it's just going to blow up and it's going to make you a millionaire, right? So if you don't have significant money to invest, you shouldn't be focusing on investments. You should be focusing on how to make more money. And there's lots of ways to do that.
So when you say don't focus on investments, do you mean like have it in the background still and focus your main energy on making money, or not do it at all?
Let's say you're a normal person, you're working a normal job, you're making $4,000 a month, and you pay all your bills and you're left with $1,000 a month. And then in your spare time, you're worried about how to spend that or how to invest that $1,000 a month.
Right.
I think that's a waste of time. You should be far more worried about spending your time trying to make more money.
Yeah,
because
100%.
$1,000 a month, it's just not enough money.
So you could invest that $1,000 in yourself.
Absolutely. Invest in knowledge or something like that. But investing in a coin, like I said, unless it's a lottery win. And before I go on to answer the question, I do want to make something clear. I think the last 2 years have been a fantastic period of wealth creation. The money printers were on full, and it was full clown world, and it was bullshit. And a lot of people made money during the clown world and spent it all, and they now think they're going to continue to make money in clown world
that's
ways.
not happening.
No, the real world is back. The brokies and the wagies, you're all going back to McDonald's. If you bought Pooh Dick coin and made $200,000, and you think you're going to be able to continue to do that for the rest of your life, you're a dumbass. That was a once in a lifetime generational gap where you could pull something off. And now it's back to the hard times. Even all the big tech companies, and the tech companies make money from the sky for free with pixels. They're cutting staff. But if they're cutting staff, then it's really hard. It's going to get very difficult to make money now. So a lot of the dumb shit is over. In terms of how to make money in the world today, it's hard. I think that the world is changing into an economy which is to a degree based on attention. I think you need to find a way to get attention to you and who you are, your product or your service, and find a way to monetize it. So the easiest way to do that is to have some knowledge. Even the podcast you guys run is an extremely efficient podcast. If you compare it to some of the other YouTube channels, like the big ones, like where they do these crazy stunts and stuff.
Yeah.
For you to get views, you talk.
Yeah.
For them to get views, they have to build a set and build it. It's not efficient, right? You need to find an efficient way to get attention, and then you have to prove yourself credible in your field and attract customers. And I think the best way to do that is online, and it doesn't matter what it is. And I think if you do those things and you work very hard and you try your best and you're never lazy, you will make some money. That's what I believe.
It's quite an amazing world, isn't it, with digital products? Because it wasn't that long ago, if you said to me, everyone in the country is going to give you a penny, but you've got to go and get it, you couldn't actually afford to go and get every penny from everyone in the country. You would lose money doing it. Nowadays, you can do it, can't you?
That's an amazing way to look at it. And it's absolutely true. Yeah. And one of the benefits of globalism and all the things we were talking about earlier on in the podcast is now we're in a globalized world, and a lot of the products and services and things you can offer can be offered to absolutely everybody. So inside of don't want to do a plug, but I will, but inside of our university, we teach a bunch of things. We have 18 modern wealth creation methods, but they're all based on online. I think online it's not groundbreaking to say the internet's here to stay and it's the future. And I think that whatever business you're in, you need an online presence to it. And then you have to find a way to attract attention. And the best way to do that is to come across as knowledgeable and interesting. I think that's the best way to do it.
If your business isn't an online business, do you think that you have...
Tell me a business that's not an online business.
That is a hard one. But if it isn't purely an online business and you don't have location freedom, do you think you are actually free? Because E-Man talks a lot about footballers. They're earning a high income, but they're not actually free because they have to be somewhere at a certain time and they're told what to do.
Yeah, and very few people are actually free. And I'm saying very few, because everybody to a degree is owned by somebody, all the entertainers, all the footballers. And even, if you're a CEO, technically you're free, but if you're too free, your business fails. So everyone's to a degree is owned. But you've just said something that intrigued me. Let's try and think of a business that's not an online business. What's not an online business?
Laying bricks.
Laying bricks, building.
Cutting hair.
Oh, cutting hair. Yeah, so cutting hair is not an online business.
Not that you go to the hairdresser that often these days.
In fact, I go twice a week to have my hair shaved. Yeah, because I could. My brother has a full head of hair. I could have a full head of hair. I like having my head shaved. So anyway, yes. So let's say you're a hairdresser, right? Yeah. You're a hairdresser and you cut hair. Then
Can I just hold you a second? Do you want to change the SD card on the main camera?
Change it. I'll get another coffee.
Right, we're back in the room.
We are back.
Yep.
All right, cutting hair, right?
Yeah. So online businesses, cutting hair.
Yes, cutting hair. You're right.
That was great.
Hang on, let's go.
That was so bad.
You can just take it off and then I'll cut it in.
That was good.
Back in the room.
Cutting hair.
So
Like a TikTok.
yeah, cutting hair. So then you have to define what an online business is, because if you start attracting attention online, that could, I guess you could say it's an online business. But let's try and think about something that's purely online. You're going to have to find a problem to solve. So if you're a hairdresser, you can either solve the problem of teaching people how to cut their own hair, which most people are probably not going to be that interested in, or something that goes wrong with hair. So you can say, I'm a hairdresser. I've been a hairdresser for a long time. I've identified men that have male balding patterns that go wrong, or women whose hair is damaged by dye and that can go wrong, etc. I've been a hairdresser for ages. Here's my Instagram page of all the hairs I've cut, and here's the way I can help you. You can start a YouTube channel that shows all the, you can come up with some healthcare, some hair thing. You could literally get some cream from X place and add in some avocado oil, some garbage, say it helps people and say it helps their hair. You've been around for a long time and you can establish credibility. You establish credibility based on the fact that you cut hair, you've been around for ages and you know exactly what you're talking about. You have this cream, you have this product now that has helped X amount of customers. You can give it to your customers and they can start to give you reviews and say, yeah, it works fantastically. You can sell it by your Instagram page for $7 a bottle and bam, you have an online business. Anything can be done, right?
You can forget about the manual part of the business from that point on.
So it's about transitioning.
It's about establishing credibility and getting attention.
It's almost as well building a brand, knowing what to put into the brand and what to actually discard.
Completely. If you establish credibility and you gain attention, you'll make money. So I'll give you another example. I had a friend who was a personal trainer. He used to go to the gym every day and used to train people. He didn't make that much money. People would miss appointments. It was like £50 an hour. He'd get there, get back, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, brother, you used to, he didn't at the time, look fantastic. How about you spend the next 6 months getting absolute killer shape, then put up a bunch of pictures on Instagram of you in killer shape, and then put together your workout plans and tell people they'll look like you even though they never will, and sell that for $7 or 10 pounds or 15 pounds and sell it by your Instagram. And he went from making $2.5 grand a month or $2 grand a month as a personal trainer to 15 grand a month without ever going in the gym. He only went to the gym for himself because he was selling information. So
it's funny. That's exactly what I've said to my personal trainer. I was like, read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson and understand the online world a little bit and move to your business online.
Completely. And that's what a lot of people are doing now, but now it's getting more and more competitive. So you have to establish credibility and get attention in a way which is becoming more difficult. Like in the fitness industry, it can be done purely on how you look. You can get some credibility and attention. But especially in the business world now, you have to be very knowledgeable. You have to be because that's the way things go when they get competitive, which is fine. But this all goes back and ties into what we were saying earlier on. If you're not trying your best and working hard and paying attention, then you're going to get wrecked. Another thing I will say to people at home, and I've said this before, every single time I ever spend money, I pay attention to why I spent money. And that gives you a lot of information and a lot of knowledge when it comes to sales and marketing. If I go and I buy some clothes, I am conscious about why did I choose this store instead of that store or that store?
What were they doing better?
Correct. Is it the branding? Do I know them? Am I familiar with them? Is it because there was no line? Is it because they had a brighter sign? What was it? Oh, there's a line there. There's no line here. So in my physical businesses, which I have in Romania, I have this thing with the staff. I said, there can never be a line. Faster Like, dude, I don't want, but it's just 3 people. No, there are people walking past who won't walk in because there's a line, because that's what I do. No line, but you don't want to look empty.
No.
So you no line until the last customer. Now you talk shit.
Yeah.
So there's one person.
Yes.
Like, you have to manage these things. Most people don't micromanage this stuff.
I think it's almost an illness that you seem to have that I have, because I can wander around a shop and I'll say to my wife, I'll say, look at that, that's beautiful. She said, what are you looking at? I said, well, the way they've displayed that, that is, I'm taking that, I'm using that.
Completely.
And I'll be online and I'll go, look at the way they've done that. Right, I can morph that into my business. But it is a little illness.
But I think you have to have a business to be like that. If you've got something to apply.
I don't think so, because you can look at other people, what they're wearing, what they're doing. That's why they're standing out. Right, I've got to get that. How do I get that?
You either have to have a business or a role model, because I remember walking around with Dad and he was like that, and then I took that on.
But before I started business, I didn't care about any of that stuff. I'd just be working for a wage, not caring about nothing.
But then you discovered Mark Tilbury on YouTube.
As soon as I started a business, every advertisement, everything, I'd just look at it. Why are they doing it like that?
And you just analyse it.
Exactly.
It's a free lesson.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
You have to pay attention to seeing people who are doing things and if they work and how they work. And you're completely and utterly correct. And you should do that all the time. Every time you spend money, you should work out how they convinced you to spend money.
I had a friend who used to run these radio controlled cars at these model events. And he said, I can't make enough money. I said, of course you can. He said, no, I can't. I said, well, let me re-engineer your business doing this over a weekend. I say, so what's the setup? He said, it's 5 minutes for £1 or whatever it was. I said, right, we'll charge double that and it's £2 a go. No one knows how long this go is. It's true. Right? Let the queue build a little bit, but as it builds, they get less time. It's how fun fairs have worked for years.
Smart.
Years.
Smart. You're right.
He made loads of money.
Of course, you're right. You nailed it. Absolutely. And that's how things work. And it's simple things. Like, I have a few physical companies, I have a few physical businesses, and it can be a simple matter of, depending on, in the business districts where there's men in suits, I have a pretty girl who's a waitress and she works there. The difference that will make to a bottom line is the dude going and flirting with this chick every lunchtime. You'd be amazed. But people don't think about these things. But even if you don't have a business, if you pay enough attention to these kind of things, you'll get business ideas. It'll inspire you. You go, you know what? If you start to really do it, you'll be around, and after a few months, you go, you know what? I can do this better than they're doing it, because I'll take in that aspect, and they're making mistakes. I can do this better, and that's how you do it.
It's all in the details.
It's all in the details. That's life, right?
Absolutely.
What percentage of your income would you say is disposable?
So I'm now at a point where, and my attitude to money, I want to make something clear, is relatively unhealthy. I have no respect for money. There are people who are much smarter with money than me. I don't have any respect for money at all. I don't believe in saving money. And I think a lot of that is down to I'm not advocating people to be like this. It's my life philosophy. And the fact that I don't live in any realm of fear at all. I can't imagine myself not being able to make more. I can't ever be poor. And if I wanted something now that took every penny of my net worth, then I would buy it because I want it. I don't care. I don't think, I got to have a safety net. I don't give a shit about money that way.
I'm a bit of a believer in a safety net, I'm afraid to say.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah,
I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong on this one. It is good to have a safety net, and it is good to have a healthier respect for money. I have no respect for money.
I mean, my safety net, I don't ever intend to use it in any way, shape or form. And it's a sizable amount of money, but that's my safety net. I don't need it. I can make it again. I can make more. It doesn't matter.
Completely. And I have a safety net by accident because I haven't spent all my money, but I have never sat and thought I want something and that's too much. I'll give you an example. I have an 812 Superfast, a Ferrari. I love it very much. They've released
very nice.
Yeah, they've released the 812 Superfast Competition. They've released a competition version. Instead of 400 grand, it's 1.6 million, which is a big difference for a bit of a body kit. And I want one in Europe and I want one in Dubai, so I bought two. So I bought $3.2 million of Ferraris. Should I have done that? Well, yeah, I can. But my point is I'm happy to just spend money. Don't give a shit, right? But that's down to my faith in myself. So when you're asking how much of my income is disposable, in my mind, all of it. I don't give a shit. I have a lot of money left because I can't possibly spend it, but I'm happy to spend all my money. What really matters are the systems you build, the robust systems. If you have a robust system that's guaranteed to pay you $50,000 a day, and it always will, and you have faith in it, and you're working hard and you're on top of it, and it's going to pay you at 9 a.m. every morning 50 grand, you can spend 50 grand a day if you wanted to. You know, you may not want to, but you could. So for me, All of my money is disposable.
So how much would you say you spend in a year? So let's take 2022. How much do you spend on yourself in 2022?
On myself. That's a good question. But then it gets gray. It gets
I know.
gray. What's
but you
for
know,
me? What's
but you
for the
know,
business?
you know what I mean yourself. The cars are for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say I spend £1 million or $1 million a month, and then that probably doesn't include big purchases. So about $1 million a month, but then there's big purchases outside.
Oh, so we're getting to about 25 mil this year then.
Yeah, something like that.
Get in.
Yeah. I spend a lot of money, but I've explained my life. My life is as crazy as a life can possibly be lived. But
that craziness in your life also then creates money.
Well, exactly, and it's the cycle, and it all feeds back into each other. But I don't ever sit and concern myself with, am I spending too much? If I thought I was spending too much, I would simply find a way to make more money. And a lot of people talk about efficiency as well. I've had people talk about working smart, not hard. That is true, but I believe that you need to fill your day with all of the hard work first. I think that working smart is a matter of being more efficient with all the time you should spend working. If you sit there and go, I want to work smart, not hard, so I work an hour a day, well, then you're still lazy. You should work smart and hard and do 15 smart hours a day. That's how you win. So, and there's always endless work to do. The other thing I will say to people is you can always find work. I've had a lot of people say, well, there's no work to do. Yes, there is. You can find work to do. This podcast, by the time it's completed, you could make individual TikToks and put them on TikTok.
And
with a slightly different edit for the next 10 years if you wanted to.
100% all the accounts.
There's endless work to do. You have to find the work. And even if each TikTok gets one view, one at a time, people hear about the podcast. There's no such thing as no work to do. Yeah. So you have to wake up and find the work to do and do it and just say, you know what, this is all I'm going to do. And a lot of it as well, if I'm giving advice to people, comes from constructing a life around you. Because people say, well, I don't want to work all the time. I have no social life. My social life's work. My best friends and me run our companies. We have the most fun in the office working. That's our fun, right? And my woman's there and she's making us coffee. My relationships work. It's all work. Like it's all done. So I don't have to separate things and compete against each other. Like that makes you ultra competitive. But yeah, I think all of my income's disposable and I have no respect for money. Money for me is a tool. And I use it to get whatever I want and bend the world.
So why do you think that's an unhealthy
Because when I say that, there's going to be some brokey who spends all his money. And
I think also you remember where you've come from as well. There's always, because for me, there's always that in the back of my mind. In fact, I'd say I struggle to get over the fact that I've come from very little and I struggle to spend what I probably should.
Yeah, it's part of that. And I don't want to encourage people at home to be completely financially irresponsible because even though I spend a lot of money, I do still spend it on I spend it on a lifestyle, but there's still a lot of assets I buy and I spend a lot. I don't just spunk it all on gambling or something completely ridiculous. You shouldn't fear money. I think there's a lot of people who are very scared with money and they hold on to it and they're very fearful with it. And they say scared money doesn't make money and scared people don't conquer the world. And I mean, if someone were to go to your website and decide to sign up, I don't even know how much your products cost or whatever.
Well, this is the thing.
Sell.
We don't sell a single product.
Okay. We don't sell. We try and give free advice to help as many people level up as possible.
Amazing.
It's a similar,
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, then I'll talk about myself, right? So there are people who will look at my online school and they'll go, "That's $49 a month," and they're scared. And I'll sit and say, "You're so fearful over $49 a month. Your chance of getting rich are absolutely zero. Keeping that $49, the chance of it ever changing your life is 0%. So why are you scared to try? It's insane."
I think the problem is a lot of people get into the saving habit, and the problem is, and what I try to get over to people, there's a limit to how much you can save. Period.
Yep.
If you earn X amount, there's a limit to what you can save.
Yep.
There is no limit to how much money you can earn.
And you can't,
no limit
completely. And you can't save yourself to a lifestyle.
No.
And that's the thing. So I have 36 cars, right? Let's take one of them. Let's take the Bugatti. That's 5.2 million. Let's do some easy math. Let's say you make $5,000 a month and you manage to live completely for free. You manage to walk to work for free, eat for free, don't need clothes. Your complete life's free. That's 100 months. 100 divided by 12, that's 70 something years. You need to work and save for 70 years to afford one of my 36 cars in one of my 7 houses. You can't save yourself to the top.
No.
You can only earn your way to the top. So the idea of saving money, a safety net, knowing that you can have peace of mind, taking care of your family or your children, all that I understand. But truthfully, your goal when you wake up shouldn't be like, how do I save more money? That's scared. That's fearful. The universe and God does not reward fearful people or cowardice. There's a degree of cowardice in how do I save more, as opposed to the opposite. Well, I'll just go take more. I'll just go make more. I'll just go make more. If it costs me $400,000 to go see Dan Bilzerian, fine. I'll just go make more money. And it's that attitude. It's that entrepreneurial spirit.
It's the abundance mindset.
It's the abundance mindset. So money for me is a tool, and I get whatever I want. I went shopping in London 2 days ago. I spent, and me and Tristan sat and talked about it, because the coolest thing about being rich is talking about when you were broke. It's the funnest thing. In fact, I'm glad I wasn't born rich, because if I didn't have that, being rich would be boring in many ways. Yeah. It's only funny because you can talk about the olden days.
100%.
So me and Tristan just spent $350,000 on Christmas presents, right?
Lovely.
Yeah, but you get to the point where money has so little value. Like we walked in, Tristan saw a pair of Jimmy Choo heels, and he's like, "I'll give them to one of his girls or whatever." And he goes, "What's her shoe size?" I go, "I don't know." He goes, what sizes you got?" They go, we got 36 to 39. He goes, "Okay, just give me all. Just give me 11 pairs of the same shoe." Because money, instead of texting her and finding out her shoe size, just give me everything. They locked the front of the store. There's a huge line because me and Tristan are in there. No one else is allowed in. And money for us is a tool to shape the world. And I think that's what a lot of people also don't understand about being rich. You don't want to be rich. You want to be powerful. That's what really is going to satisfy you in your soul. It's the power. It's not the I can afford this, that. That's nice for a while. But really what makes you happy is there's 60 of these Bugattis on earth. Everyone wants one. Who gets one? I do. Because you can't have one. That's the fun of it, right? So it's power you're truly chasing. And if you want to be powerful, you can't be scared to invest money and spend money. A lot of people at home, if they want to make more money, need to invest in themselves. Yeah. They invest in themselves. And maybe they've been taught, well, if I just save. Let me say to everyone here at home, if you are saving less than 10 grand a month and you're just saving, your chance of being rich is fucking zero. You need to go and do something else and make more. Invest in yourself, get knowledge, pay attention to mentors, start another business, open something. You need to do something because you're not going to save your way to the top. The average person at home, you're not earning enough to ever save. If you never save 100% of your wage, you're still going to be broke. You have to get to a level of earning. And it's that spirit you need to have when it comes to money. And it truly is the abundance mindset is true. I remember when I was broke. I thought everyone was broke.
You do.
Because I was broke.
100%.
And then you get rich and you start thinking, shit, everyone has money. Every supercar I want is sold out. Every diamond watch I want is sold out. The private jet charters are full. The yachts are full. Like, as soon as you get rich, you start
Who are all these people that got money? Who are they?
I was just in Dubai. And my houses are being built. They're going to be completed this year. I bought a bunch of them off plan. So I decided to rent. And I rented a house on the Palm. And it was $25,000 a day, dollars. And I rented it. And I'm sitting there. And the landlord comes and goes, "I just got an offer for $35,000 a day. You need to leave." And I go, "Okay, well, I'll pay $40,000 a day." And then he came back and goes, "The guy's offered $50,000 a day for a year." And I'm like, who am I even in a bidding war with? And I just left. I was like, you know what? Take it. I'll get another one. But like, there's people out there with money like you couldn't fucking fathom. There is so much money in the world. So you do get to a level of wealth. Another time it hit me, I was at Monaco. I was sitting around dinner in Monaco after, it was on a car rally, funnily enough. And there's like 10 of us. And I just looked around the table by coincidence and I saw everyone's wearing a nice watch. And I thought, when I was broke, the idea, if someone told me they had 30 or 40 grand in the bank, I thought they were doing good. Now I'm sitting at a table, everyone's wearing a $100,000 watch. Nobody gives a fuck. It's just like, there's levels to the game. And when you get up to the top, you realize there's money everywhere. The abundance mindset, there are so many rich people. So if you're not where you want to be financially, I hope this pisses you off because I'm telling you to annoy you that you're sitting there struggling to pay your bills. There are people out there making so much money you couldn't possibly fathom who have anything they want all of the time. And you may sit there and go, oh, but they're miserable. A lot of them aren't. Trust me. They're having a great time. So you need to make a bunch more money because there's money everywhere.
What do you think of Monaco? Because that's really, in a way, the old Dubai, but it's fighting back a little bit.
Yeah, it was the old Dubai, but I think people are losing faith in it.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I think
because it's so restricted in size, isn't it?
It's restricted in size, and also I think because obviously they have heavy influence in the European Union and France. They pretend they don't, but they do. And I think for a lot of nationalities, it's still scary to put your money there.
Yeah.
Dubai is safe for everybody. Dubai does not. discriminate. If you come and you obey our laws, and you obey our rules, and you respect our religion and respect our society, everybody is welcome. And that's how a country should be. It's actually truly beautiful that Dubai is, United Arab Emirates as a whole, I think it's 80% of people are immigrants. Think about it. They have
it's amazing, isn't it?
80% immigration with no crime, no homelessness, no drugs.
And immigration's a good thing and seen as a good thing, obviously.
But it's a good thing because people respect the country. This is the problem the West has. If you walk into somebody's house and it's a shithole, you're not going to be worried about picking your cup away because the place is a shithole. But if you walk in and it's pristine, you're going to pick up your cup when you go to the bathroom, right? So
you can say, "Where's the coaster?"
Completely. So because no one respects this place, people just turn up and just abuse it. Whereas everybody respects the UAE, which is why immigration's been so fantastic.
Well, we'd like to come out and see you when you're out there as well. So we'll drop you the nod when we're out.
Yeah,
there.
I was looking forward to January. As much as it's a pleasure to have you here, I was looking forward to January for sure.
There should be room in the villa. We'll be okay.
That sounds good.
That'd be awesome.
Do you think it's a good idea to set such high goals, particularly for the average Joe? Because what we find is quite often they set these goals and they fall short, and then they, I don't want to say the word feel depressed, but they feel that they're not able to get there.
Yeah. I mean, social media and the world as a whole is now setting unrealistic goals for people, whether they like it or not.
Because it's everyone's airbrush lifestyle.
Completely. It's very hard now to be a man in the world and not have unrealistic expectations. If you're anywhere on the internet, you're seeing a whole bunch of crypto 19-year-olds pushing fucking cars and doing all this shit. So yeah, your expectations are gonna be ridiculously high. So I think people who get demotivated because they don't quite hit where they want to get just need to be more realistic about it. And like I said, you need to get a piece of paper or understand on a scale of 1 to 10 and say, how stressed do I want to be? How much pressure do I want to feel like I'm under? How much can I take? And be honest with yourself. I know I can handle it. I'm a professional. I had 87 professional world champion fights. I've been there. I've been in the dressing room about to go fight a dude who just killed his last opponent. Like I understand pressure. Most people don't. So you have to sit and go, how much pressure can I really take? Between 1 and 10. Well, let's say it's a 6 or a 7. Okay. And then you have to work out an income that reflects that. And that should be your goal and be happy with it. People sit there and go, yeah, I want to be as rich as Tate. I want to be top cheetah. Most of you, the reason you're not here is because you couldn't do it. I could hand my life over to a bunch of people, even as it is completed.
And they couldn't do it.
They couldn't live it. They couldn't live it. They just fucking
Is that because they want that safety net as well? Do you think that's an aspect that allows you to push to the level you have?
Well, there's equal and opposite forces in the world. Everybody wants to glitz and glamour. Nobody wants equal and opposite force. There's no such thing as, there's a whole bunch of good with the fame. There's a whole bunch of bad with the fame. There's a whole bunch of good with the money. There's a whole bunch of bad with the money. So that's how it goes. I wanted this life. This is exactly what I want. It makes me happy. But there's a whole bunch of people who would not be happy in my position just because of the amount of pressure they're under. In my last cancellation, we had press trying to find my mother, family members doxxed. My last 20 ex-girlfriends called and offered a bribe, effectively 100,000 pounds to do a negative story on me. None of them turned. Bank accounts frozen, travel bans, all my social media is deleted. All over the news, national news, I'm evil. Press releases in the schools saying that I'm bad for young men and I'm misogynistic. Like most people are not prepared for that level of pressure. I slept fine. Most people would be like, whoa. There are death threats. Like most people can't handle that. I can handle it fine. Most can't. You have to decide what you want to deal with. So when you're setting your expectations, it shouldn't just be about how much money you want to make. It's truly about how stressed and how much pressure do I want to be under. I actually enjoy it. I'm a warrior. I'd be bored in the other way. I want people coming for me. That's what I want. But if you don't want that, then don't build a life that does that.
The fear I have is that those that can't take that sort of pressure could actually be plugging into the matrix. They're going to be plugging into the metaverse and having their better life there and living there.
Well, yeah, and that's what
as
they
an
want.
opt-out.
Well, yeah, and that's what they want a lot of people to do. But for now, at least, you can't escape the brutal realities of the real world. And I think also that, truthfully, on your deathbed, you're gonna regret all the chances you didn't take. I think, especially as a man, I think we're out here to conquer, and I've always taken a lot of risks. I've always been a risk taker. It's who I am as a person. No death, no risk, no glory. I've always been that guy, and I feel like a lot of it is also for you to decide in yourself and decide with your own conscience, will I be comfortable if I go to 6 out of 10, or do I really need to be 10 out of 10? And that's fine. Everyone's different, right? But I think you should set the goal that you're truthfully prepared to live that lifestyle of.
Everyone can be a better version of themselves.
Well, everyone can be a better version of themselves completely, and it's down to the 3 things I said earlier: stupid, lazy, arrogant. I think most people are just too arrogant to learn. And I'll give you an example of it. I'll give you an example of why people are too arrogant to learn. Let's forget about selling products. On my website, cobratate.com, I have an email list. It's completely and utterly free. I am a billionaire. I'm sitting here telling people how to make money. Anyone who's listening to this is watching, and they obviously find me entertaining. They find you entertaining. They understand we're knowledgeable. I will tell you how to make money, and I will give you knowledge and advice via email for free each day. There are people who will sit and watch this knowing that and still not sign up. Explain that to me. They're like, how could you sit and go, this guy's smart, he's entertaining, he knows things, he has a free email list. I am too lazy to type in or arrogant to sign up for free. It takes 6 seconds. And they still won't do it. Of the 1 million people who watch this, half of them will sign up and half of them won't. And the half that don't will still be like, I'll get rich one day. No, you fucking won't. You're a dumbass.
So if a man isn't rich, can they be deemed as successful?
Completely. You have to decide. Yeah, it depends. There are people who are dedicated to surfing and they live in a tent in Bali and they surf every day.
And love every minute of it.
And they smile. That's fantastic. You have to decide what you want in life. I wanted to conquer the world. And if you're going to conquer the world in the modern society we live in, that's going to be a fiscal conquer. That's what you're going to do. You're going to make a bunch of money. How else are you going to conquer the world? That's what I wanted. You have to decide what you want. And it's different folks for different strokes. And it takes a lot of different kind of people to make the world go round. But if you truly want to conquer the world, you're going to end up wanting a bunch of money because that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. So you have to decide the life you want to live. Right?
So if you had a teenage son, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give him to break through the matrix and achieve success in life, whatever that is for him?
I'm actually genuinely worried about my children because I grew up so broke and they're going to be so fucking rich.
It is a worry, isn't it?
It's a worry because you're a different man when you have no safety net. You're a different man when you have to pull it off. No, I need to. No, I literally have to pull this off. I have to roll the dice. Most men don't understand what it feels like to roll a dice and you have to get a 6. They go, what do you mean you have to? No, I have to get a 6.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if you don't? No, I have to get a 6. You're not understanding me. So that's extremely character building. And for that reason, I'm going to make sure that my children, another thing that comes with it, I took a bunch of risks that I would never be comfortable with my children taking because this is the problem. You go soft, right?
Yes.
I was riding around on a motorcycle with no insurance, running from the cops. And I could have been splattered on the road. And I would never want my son to do that. But at the same time, I want him to be like me. So it's difficult. It's hard.
He can't go through the same lessons that you went through.
Correct.
And I think that's why you didn't give me everything.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah, Curtis has basically earned his way in life. He's done very, very well. But I wouldn't just give him everything. Absolutely not. Even down to a loan when he started his business, he needed a laptop. I said, well, you got to go and earn that money to buy that laptop. Well, he went to his nan, managed to get a loan off his nan,
and I paid that back.
But that's different. He's got it as a loan. He hasn't been given a handout, you know?
And you need that. And you need that for a variety of reasons. One, because you won't be satisfied with yourself. If you're given a bunch of money, you're never going to be happy with money.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. And two, there's so many lessons that come along the way with business that you can't just skip, right? So I know exactly what you mean. But as for my teenage son, I'm going to try very hard to. He's gonna have problems he needs to solve. And I think if you're a young man, even if you're not my child, if you're just any man who's out there in the world today, you need to look at some problems that need solving either for yourself or for society and find a way to fix them. And I think that you should just adopt some problems and try and fix them. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just try and fix the litter in your area, or you can try and get a 6-pack or whatever you want. Men are builders. The modern world, call me misogynistic, the modern world was built by men. Every building you're in was built by men. Every road you drive on was built by men. We're builders. We build things. And that's what you should be focused on. And like I said before, if you're hardworking and you build, and I think you'll do well in life. That's what it's really about. You can't hide away from the brutal realities of work. That's it. And while we're on the subject, that's actually where these last 2 years have been pure clown world, because I've known some people who've made a bunch of money in crypto. And I've said to them, what you've just gone through, what you've just done is once in a generation, and it's completely ruined you. Because normally, if you make, let's say, 200 grand, you have learned lessons to make that 200 grand. You've learned marketing, you've learned sales, you've learned how to manage staff, you learn how to deal with pressure, you learn how to be on time, you've learned a bunch of things.
So you can continue it.
So you can continue. And even if you lose all the money, you retain the lessons.
100%.
What have you learned? You bought a coin, it went up. Okay, good. You have not learned a single fucking thing about how money is made, about personal development. You didn't even learn how to have a firm handshake and put on a tie. You learned nothing. You pulled it off. You made a few dollars. You've lost them now. And now the worst thing about it is you think you're too good for work. You think you're so smart now. Yeah. Oh, I made it. This is the next one. You got lucky. Now you think you're too good to actually get up and grind. You think you're just going to pull it off again, another lottery win. And you don't think you have to work very hard. And guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to end up fucking broke because that's not the reality of the world. That clown world shit is over. All that shit is over. We're about to get into harder times than ever. If you're sitting at home and you made a bit of money with crypto and you think, don't worry, it's going to go up again soon, you're just praying for some external force. That's not self-accountability. Sitting and watching the Bitcoin price, waiting for it to go up so you have money is not self-accountability. That's prayer. You might as well just do the lottery numbers. All these people who made money in this clown world, a lot of them haven't learned any lessons about the reality of Earth, and it's about to get a lot harder. Inside of my school, The Real World, we have an entire subject on attention and focus because a lot of kids, especially young kids now, can't even pay attention. We have to teach them from the beginning how to watch the lessons because they're too long and they can't focus.
It's crazy. It's like picking up your phone all the time. Like even some of the people that work for us, you know, I want them to be focusing on their job and they're always on their phone. It's not Kai. It's a lot of other people.
I know.
But yeah, they're always on their phone. It's breaking their attention and they don't realize it's not the time just on their phone. It's like taking them out from it and then back into it. It takes you a bit of time to get into it.
Completely. People can't even focus anymore.
Yeah.
And so inside the school in the real world, we have to teach people how to focus again. So like these last few years have been complete clown world. And I think we're about to hit very, very difficult times. But in hard times, the people who are good at the game get very rich.
Well, we interviewed Tom Hartley very recently, the supercar dealer, and he made his money from 11 years old to 17, lost $1 million at that point, went back to broke. But the words he said were, I learned all those lessons, I can get there again.
Completely.
And that is a really important lesson.
And he didn't lose it from being silly. He lost it due to a technicality as well, which was a thing.
No, but this is the thing. And I truly believe, like, this is where we go back into me saying all my income is disposable. I can never be poor. My skill set, the people I know, my phone book, my reliability, my reputation, you could take all of my money today. I'll be a millionaire again in 2 weeks. Like I can call people and say, lend me 10 mil. Oh, that's Tate. He'll give it back. I can call people. I know people. I have a place I can go. I'm good at speaking. Like once you have those lessons and once you have that network and once you have those things built, you can't go broke. You really can't. You get to a point of life where the only way you could go broke is if you become a drug addict or something ridiculous. But yeah, so the lessons are very, very important.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear because these last few years, people skipped all of them. Even if they have a little bit of money, they have none of the lessons and they're going to suffer. The universe will teach them a lesson.
Forget the bad things, remember the lesson. That's what I always say.
Absolutely.
I think your friends and your circle is a good way to make sure you're learning those lessons. They can get onto you and say, look, you're making the same mistake again and again. How do you build your circle?
I'm ruthless. I am ruthless. I'm ruthless.
You wouldn't be any other way, would you?
No, but I don't have time for brokies. I don't have time for sad people. I don't have time for unlucky people. I don't have time for someone who's complaining. I don't have time for negativity. I don't have time. I'm so ruthless. If I knew a dude who always had a cold, I wouldn't talk to him anymore. You're too sick. I don't like it. My circle is winners. Everyone around me is a winner. No matter what bad happens in our lives, we win. And it's amazing to me that people understand that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with.
100%.
But then they don't curate their circle.
No.
They'll go, yeah, I understand that part. And then they'll still hang around with a bunch of fucking losers. The problem is it has to be a value exchange. You can't be a loser hanging around with winners because winners don't want to hang around with you. You need to find a way to provide value and work your way up. But as you progress through life, there's going to have to be people you cut off because they're just holding on to your coattails, slowing you down. And no matter how many times you give them a chance, they don't want to fucking progress. And that's their decision. That's fine. You don't have to feel guilty about that. You have to climb to the top of the mountain.
We covered it on a short recently, and we got quite a lot of hate on that, didn't we? The fact that we've had, through my life, I've had to cut people out, 100%. And I don't want to cut them out. It's just I'll be dragged back, and I can't gradually move up on the levels
because they're holding on to the person you used to be, and they expect you to be that person.
They go, "You've changed." Headlines, yes, I have. Why haven't you?
Completely. And life is a value exchange. Every friendship, every relationship, every business relationship, there has to be an exchange of value. As you progress through life, if people stay in the same place, you're only giving value and you're not receiving any value back. And you have to be ruthless about those things. Like I have a very curated circle and everybody in my circle is extremely useful and we're extremely successful. And it's a very motivating thing. If you're in a room full of ice cream experts and all they talk about is ice cream, how to move ice cream, how to sell ice cream, different flavors of ice cream, how you make ice cream, you're going to learn a lot about ice cream. If you're in a room full of people who are billionaires, and guess what they're talking about? Money. And guess what you're going to learn about? Money. I don't sit and have pointless conversations with people. I don't even know what people are talking about. If me and my friends meet, we end up talking about the earth and how it can pay us. That's what we talk about. And that's how we manage to make a bunch of money. So you have to be ruthless with your circle. And for people out there who understand this, a lot of people say they understand it, but they genuinely don't. But if you do and you are trying to progress your circle, you need to find a way to provide value. You need to either join networks like my one on corporative.com, or you need to find a way to provide value. I'll give you an example. In Romania, I was driving and I went to a town called Cluj. It's a very small town. I went in a nice car and a kid came up to me and he said, I run the car spotting page and we take pictures of the Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Can I take a picture? It's like, yeah, sure. And anyway, he took a picture of it and then he gave me his business card and he said, I just want you to know, I don't even like cars. I just knew the best way for me to meet rich people is to take photos of nice cars.
It's a great story.
I was like, you're smart.
Very smart.
I hired him.
I'm not surprised.
He works for me. Yeah. He still works for me for this day.
Yeah.
He was smart enough to go, well, where's the money over there?
Yeah.
How do I get close to the money? Oh, they don't want to talk to me. But if I take cool photos of his car, he might want to talk to me. You have to find a way to provide value to people.
Yeah.
If you provide value and it's a value exchange, you'll do good. But yeah, I say this to people and they go, oh, but my friend, and we have a good time together. Well, if you're going to prioritize your friends by drinking and having fun, then you're going to have a bunch of fucking loser friends. That's your life and that's your life to live. It's fine. Don't complain when the NHS are on strike and you can't get seen and I'm in a private hospital in fucking Saudi. That's your problem. You have to just make your decisions in life and live true to them. But creating a circle is ultra important. And it's not just important financially, it's also important for your entire life and your mindset as a whole. Because it's amazing, especially amongst men, we never want to be the poorest person in the room. We never want to be the weakest person in the room. You never want to be, so if you're with a group of killers, you have now this massive expectation. It's almost like societal pressure and a positive force. If I go to my friends, I can't be the weakling. If everyone does X amount of push-ups, I have to do them.
You might get dropped out.
Yes, well, you don't want to.
That's not happening.
You don't want to feel that way,
No.
right?
It's funny you say that because when I first met Kai, he was so against working out, but now he started, because we all work out in the group. So he's getting there.
But that's it. So you can get, just like peer pressure can be a negative, peer pressure can be a massive positive and it can accelerate you towards the moon. You can get an upward spiral. So my team, it's not just about how we make money. It's also an entire mindset. I don't want to be the only scared one in the group. If me and my 6 closest friends are walking down the street and a couple guys came up to us with machetes, I know they wouldn't be afraid. So now I'm not afraid. Now no one's afraid. Now you're fucked.
Now the guys with a machete should be afraid.
That's right. It's like an army. It's like a gang, right? You have to have that mentality. So it's not just even about money. It's about your entire life you create. If you're a person, if you're a man and you're out here and you go, you know what? Who do I want to be? I want to be strong and rich and brave and respected. Then I need friends who are strong and rich and brave and respected. That's what you need to do. If you're going to say, oh, I want to be these things, but I hang around with this guy because we play FIFA together, then you can stay a fucking loser. And that is your decision. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for losers. I want to make this another thing clear that ends up on TikTok and everyone cries their eyes out. I don't give a solitary fuck if you want to stay at the bottom of the societal totem pole. If I'm going to ignore how I feel day after day so I can perform, regardless of whether I'm sad, happy, pissed off, tired, if I'm going to get up and work anyway when I'm tired, how do you expect me to feel sorry for you because you didn't work when you were tired? If I don't care about my own emotions, I certainly don't give a solitary shit about yours. If you want to stay a loser, stay one. Good, it's fine. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for you. I don't care.
What would you say the single thing was for you to go and grab life by the bollocks and go for it? Because something had to spark that.
I was instilled with a duty for a very long time to honor my ancestors through achievement. And I was told from a very young age that the only thing your ancestors are interested in is achievement. Even to this day, when I do podcasts, people repeatedly talk about my father. If I wasn't successful, he wouldn't be spoken about anymore. He died 9 years ago and he was a good chess player, but no one's really that interested in chess. The reason he lives on is because I'm so monumentally successful that people are interested in my origin story and he is mentioned. The reason I will live forever is because my son will be so monumentally successful that they'll talk about how he could have been such a perfect specimen of man, how he was raised, and they will mention me. If you give a shit about your ancestry and if you give a fuck about your family and you're not a selfish person and you want them to exist out in the ether for reality, for the eternity of reality, it is your duty to be successful.
That's why I got Dad to start the YouTube channel, because it's kind of commemorating you forever. People can look at that.
Am I on my way?
Not yet. 100 years left, bro.
You've got loads of time left. But yeah, no, it's always there for people to look at. And it's like that version of my dad that I always saw, and I wanted other people to experience that.
Completely. So if you love your family and you love your last name and you're proud of yourself, then you have a duty to be massively monumentally successful, to show homage to your ancestors. I find it amazing there are people out here today who are going to sit and say, oh, I'm sad, I'm too depressed, I don't want to work hard. Do you understand that only 200 years ago, there were peasants out working a field, starving, surviving the Black Death, surviving the plague, struggling to exist just to reproduce so that 200 years later, you can be the end of their bloodline for you to sit on your ass and do fucking nothing. You're like, well, you're a fuck up. You're fucking up your entire bloodline of your entire ancestry. You owe these people things. They went through hell for you to exist. You have a debt. You have a duty to pay. You have to be the best possible version of yourself. And the same to God. God loves people who try. God loves people who work hard. It's amazing if you try your very best all the time, what God will give you. He'll give it to you, anything you want, if you actually try. Not convincing yourself you try, actually try. They're different things. But yeah, I was instilled with this because from a young age, my dad said, you're a Tate. And Tates are the greatest people on the face of the planet. And there's gonna be a day I'm not here anymore, and they're gonna talk about me because of how fantastic you are. So go do your fucking job. And I said, yes, sir. And here I am.
And it's a similar thing to what you said, like every Tilbury has to do better than the last.
He does, and you will. And that's how it should be.
That's absolutely, because that's family legacy.
You know, they went through the Middle Ages. I watched a video on this just recently, and the Middle Ages lasted, or the Dark Ages, for about 400 years. No one progressed. Nothing progressed.
Yeah.
They lived the worst, and I'm going to swear, the shittiest life for 400 years. And exactly as you say, just reproducing so that you can be on this planet at this time now.
Completely.
And that's got to be, you got to respect that.
You got to respect it.
I wouldn't want to have gone through it.
Absolutely. And
no Bugattis back then.
Unfortunately. And like you said about each Tilbury being better than the last, that's exactly the way to look at it. That's how life should be. You should have a duty to your ancestry.
And my father taught that to me, and his taught it to him.
And it's disappearing from society. It used to be like, I am Andrew, son of Emery. It was all about who you're son of.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And it's all vanishing now.
Yeah.
But you have a legacy you can build. And I love the fact that when I was growing up, when my dad walked into a chess tournament, people were scared because his name was said, and they were fearful of his last name. And now people are fearful of the last name again because of me, and they will be again because of my son. And this is the beauty of life as a man. And one of the most terrifying but also gratifying things of life as a man is that we're all born relatively valueless. I don't think women are born that way. A woman, if she's born, especially if she's attractive, has an innate value. People just want her no matter what. But as a man, if you're not an important man, nobody gives a fuck about you, and they're never going to care. So you have to build yourself from the ground up, and that's scary for a lot of people, but it's also a massive opportunity. You can decide if you want to be a famous musician or a nice sensitive poet or a painter or a kickboxing world champion or a businessman. You get to decide on all the different characters in the video game. You can choose, who do I want to be? And then if you actually try, you can become it. Isn't that amazing? You can wake up and go, you know what? I want to be this kind of guy. I knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the dude pulling up in the Lambo, 3 a.m, gets out. Everyone's like, who is this big, strong, rich dude? I wanted to be that man, so I became him. And if you don't want that, if you want to go be a musician and play guitar and get a bunch of chicks and chill in Bali and smoke weed, whatever, go, you can choose your character and build it.
I think the biggest problem is people don't want to choose. They don't know what they want to do. You know, and they can't figure out how to do it.
And also they think they've got to know everything about what they want to do before they can even start. So like when I went into business, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And most don't. Yeah. Most are winging it to a certain degree.
Oh, yeah,
and
completely.
you learn as you go. That's how you do it. You don't have to know. No one knows everything. So how are you ever going to know enough to start?
But the school system teaches you, like, if you get something wrong, there's only one right answer rather than lots of correct answers.
Well, the educational system is designed to make people into slaves, which is part of the propaganda.
It really grinds my gears.
It's a massive waste of time. And so that's part of it. But you're right. And there's also some universal constants. Like a lot of people don't have the ability to understand the compounding effect of doing the right thing time after time. Even if you start a new business and you don't know what to do. I guarantee if you're always on time, if you're a builder and you're always on time, take the basic shit. Just be on time.
Yeah.
Over time, you may think, oh, I'm just on time. No one notices. Trust me, across 10 years, that's the difference between being a successful builder and not being a successful builder.
Well, the thing is, we expected you to be late today, but you were early. So it just shows, even when you reach that level of success, you still respect people's time,
Completely.
which is
just
brilliant.
stick to the absolute basics and do the right thing and know what you're supposed to do. And this is why I have so little sympathy for people who go, oh, I'm trying to make it and I can't, because I think they're lying to me and they're lying to themselves.
Early is on time is late, and late is unforgivable.
Completely agree. Absolutely. And it's these basic things that even in the modern world, it's amazing how people are failing. So Yeah, it's interesting, but it's a very fun commentary, and I read a lot of emails. I got a lot of emails, and a lot of messages, and a lot of people like, bro, I'm trying my best, and my answer is simply no, you're not. I really don't think they're trying their best. Maybe I come across and I seem non-sympathetic, but I'm from a council estate in Luton. I'm now a billionaire, and it's because I actually tried my best.
Do they just not know what their best is? Are they in the quagmire of everyone being like them, and they think they're doing a little bit better than everyone else?
But you know what's funny? What's funny is this. If you were to take somebody who says, I'm doing my best, I'm really trying, and you were to get an exact schedule of their last week and find all the times they've wasted time, you'd say, look, you've wasted time, wasted time, wasted time, wasted time. You know what's actually amazing? Most of those people are not even self-reflective enough to go, you're right, I'm not trying my best. You know what they'd say? Well, I have to rest sometimes. Well, I have to have a social life. Well, they'd be so arrogant because they're arrogant.
I had to do my Facebook.
Yeah. No matter, you'd even show them, here's where you fucked up. Well, I have to. Oh, you're crazy. And then they go back to being a loser. That's the amazing thing about losers. You can drag them to the water, but they won't drink it. It's beautiful.
They always feel like they're doing everything rather than like a successful person feels like they're not doing enough.
You nailed it. They have no self-accountability. And you're right. A lazy person thinks he's working too hard, and a successful person thinks he isn't working hard enough. And we're doing 20 times the work they are. And we're like, I could have done more, could have done this. Oh, I missed that today. Can't miss that again. Oh, I should have taken that call. I should have flown there. I should have. We have guilt about it. They don't give a solitary fuck. And even if you pointed it out to them, they'd sit there and go, oh yeah, and they'd make some excuse for it. It's the brutal arrogance of people. It's truly brutally arrogant. I encourage absolutely everybody who finishes this podcast to go to your website and learn something. You should go and educate yourselves. These people are sitting here and they're teaching you. You've watched the entire thing. You understand there's knowledge. Are you just going to turn it off and just go back to being a dummy?
That's a great call to action, isn't it?
But it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's like, if you're not going to take any action at all after 2 hours of being educated, then you're going to just stay a loser.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the reality.
When is enough? Enough.
That is a good question. For money,
everything.
Okay, yeah. So for money, there is a number which I think is enough. I think once you get to, let's say, 20, 25 million, you can have anything you want. Besides stupid shit like yachts, which doesn't even make you happy and they're just a headache to own. Power is the problem. You have to understand what you're really chasing. And I know for me, it'll never be enough because I know I'm chasing power. Because even during the height of Corona, which educated me how important power is, I knew I can't listen to people. It's not who I am. So if I have to buy a plane to not wear a mask, I will buy a plane. So it depends what you're truly chasing. If you're truly only after money, 20, 25 million, you'll have a very good life. You'll be happy for a very long time. You don't have to live as crazy as me. But if you're after power, then it's never enough. And then you have to sit and be very smart and self-reflective and understand where you're trying to go. And it comes to a point where it becomes detrimental to you. So even me as an individual, I'm sitting here now and analyzing and thinking, if I carry on at the trajectory I'm carrying on, they're going to put me in jail because I'm too influential and I'm too dangerous. If I say I can influence an election right now.
That's a huge worry, isn't it?
It's scary for them. They're like, oh, who's this guy?
Yep.
And they've tried to get me to sell my soul. I'm not going to give too many stories, but on multiple occasions, they've tried to get me to sign contracts and offer me a bunch of money to shut up and agree to this and agree to that. And I won't do it. So now they're sitting there going, okay, there's this person with massive influence, perhaps the most influential man in the world. We've offered him to sell his soul so we can control him. He won't do it. He can influence things massively. He is a wild card. What do we do about this person? And they sit and they go, okay, well, accuse him of something, put him in jail. And if that doesn't work, then it's like, oops, car crash. That's the end. So I'm now at a position where I'm like, I have to very strongly gauge how far I want to go because Icarus flew too close to the sun.
Yeah.
So it gets scary, right? So you have to be very self-reflective of these things. But yeah, how much is enough? I don't know. I hope I'm going to balance it just right, and I'm going to save the world and awaken people from the Matrix and stay breathing as long as possible. We'll have to see how it goes. But I will say this, because I say it on every single podcast. If they lock me up for some insane bullshit, I didn't do it. And if they say I killed myself, I didn't kill myself either. It's all a fucking lie. And I'm going to say that here now.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come and Strike It Big.
It's been
really appreciate it.
Mate. Really has.
Thank you very much. If you've enjoyed that, make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from these two. Laters.
See you later.
Bye.
I'd rather not be in the outro when he does it like that.
Yeah, we need to slightly change it.
Thank you for your time, Andrew. That was really, really good. Thank you.